screening on a practical mode. So based on that, the Board of Studies Operations has conducted a series of live webinar, and this is the 32nd consecutive week we are conducting. I really appreciate the entire Board of Studies team for really taking out their Sunday timings and organizing for the students. And the response from the students is also overwhelming. And almost 10,000 plus students on an average are attending every session. So I thank all the faculties who are a part of it, and our guest for today and our council colleague, Janchand Mishra, for really taking out your time and making sure that the love for the students is being unconditional again, the same is being expressed. Dear students, a lot of seminars are taking place. In the last week, a lot of national seminars and international seminars are being concluded. And even the upcoming seminars we have at Indore, Ahmedabad and all. So request every student to make sure that you are a part of this. Try to interact with the people because India is changing very fast. So it's time that we need to update ourselves with all the latest aspects. So before the speakers take over the session, today we have with us the guest for today, the council colleague, Mr. Gyanchandra Mishra from Ghaziabad. So he is the first time in the council and he served in the central council, and his contribution toward ICI is an immense. So every time, whenever a new initiative has to become, he always stands first. So he's being part of many initiatives taken up by ICI, even in the recent call center. In every activity, he's always there, that ICI first. Thank you, Ganbhai, for being a part of today's session. And these seminars have really helped the student to reach out and understand various aspects. And we have given even a chat box system where any student having a doubt can really type in there. The speakers are addressing then and there. In case if more number of questions are there, we are reverting back to the student with their email ID and the replies to it. So thank you, Ganbhai. I request you to kindly share few words with the students.
So thank you, Sridhar Bhai. Very good morning to all the respected speakers of the session, and of course to Sridhar Bhai, Vice Chairman of very important committee of the Institute, SSCB Students Skills Enrichment Board. So friends, at the outset, I am very much grateful to the committee led by Sushil Goyal ji and Sridhar Mupala ji for giving this opportunity to me to interact with the young guns of the profession on the very important topic, which is really, becoming like a backbone in current economic revival and the loan restructuring, that is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Friends, I do hereby acknowledge the great speakers present over here, Sunit Saji and of course Anjali Chokasi ji, along with the supported by the various officers under the leadership of Kapil Gupta ji. And I'm sure that SSEB will keep on showering its great work and good wishes on the students in upcoming time, because the way I have seen in last 10 months SSEB has worked, it's really a matter of pride for us that students are being taken due care with regard to the skill development, with regard to the knowledge updation and all those things. So friends, with regard to IBC, it's really very interesting topic, and for the coming and future India and the pace of growth of the country, this is like becoming like vein, blood in the vein. So I'm sure that this topic is going to help you in your studies as well as in your professional career. IBC came in 2016. Basically, whenever earlier when the companies used to be sick, there we had certain provisions under BIFR. But that was not enough because that was open-ended again. There was no time limit, and usually the loans were not being determined as expected by the creditors, and of course the debtors were also not given the due care. So the government has come with a new law, and the entire thrust of the IBC has been that the power has been strengthened in the hands of the corporate debtors. Now, it's the second part, the second side of the balance sheet. First side is, left side is liability, right is assets. The asset side being the corporate debtor that has been strengthened. Now it is up to them how they are going to restructure the company, how they are going to restructure the loan to take the company, if it is ongoing concern, then ongoing concern. Otherwise, how that could be settled in the best way if it is being liquidated. So, a lot of changes have occurred since then. Now, the IBC is taking its one of the best shape because as expected by the various stakeholder, whether that is the shareholder, secured creditors, unsecured creditors, all the outflow of the money that has been pre-decided and due care is being taken while distribution of the assets at the time of liquidation. Friends, I know that this is very important topic, and the speakers who are going to deliberate, they will certainly touch upon all the important aspects since sketch and the recent amendments which have empowered the insolvency professionals and insolvency professional entities with enough powers. That is to be discussed by the learned speakers. One thing that I would like to bring in your kind notice, IBBI is coming with the separate course for the insolvency professionals. Like we people are chartered accountancy profession that like the same. They are coming with the course for the insolvency professionals. So you can understand the deep-rooted thought process of the government that is going to come in the market in coming time, that the entire arena of the loan, whether it might be secured, unsecured, or in whatever nature, financial creditors or operational creditors, all those things are being in very much thought of the government. So when being a chartered accountant, we are extending a lot of support to the government in the nation building. With regard to the IBC also, chartered accountants are providing best services across the country. And I can just witness one thing to you. Insolvency is one of the core area of practice for the professionals now, and it is going to broaden in coming time. So please learn and celebrate the occasion being blessed by SSEB, and try to have more and more participation in the SSEB activities. I will not deliberate more because two learned speakers are here to deliberate on the topic. I once again congratulate my good friend and brother Sridhar Bhai for taking a new opportunities and avenues for skill development for the students at large, and of course to the board in the leadership of Sushil Bhai in his absentia. So thank you, Sridhar Bhai and entire office, Smita Madam, Kapil Ji, and both the speakers. Thank you once again for this great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Gyan Bhai, for really taking out your time. As you rightly said, the growth of an economy and where we are moving. Now we are anyway $3.6 trillion, the fifth in the world, and we are targeting for being second in the world. So in that process, financial discipline and restructuring of things are very much important. And in that arena, no doubt, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Act will really play an important role. So with us, we have today the two great speakers who can really add a very good knowledge in the topic, both Anjali and Sumit. I really thank both of you once again for really taking out your time. And even though it is on a Sunday, the affection which you have shown to come forward and take it for the student will really add a good value. And I really appreciate both of you. And I wish all the students a happy learning. So, Smita, request you to kindly introduce our speakers for the day.
All of you. Today I have been given an opportunity to introduce two great speakers who have been aptly chosen for today's topic, insolvency and valuation. Firstly, I'll introduce our first session speaker, who is a well-qualified doctor as well as a chartered accountant. So CA Dr. Mrs. Anjali Choksi is an insolvency professional, a registered valuer, and a PhD on derivative trading strategies from Sardar Patel University. She practices in the area of insolvency and profession. Currently, she is a vice chairman of Ahmedabad branch of ICI and is also in the managing committee since 2019. Ma'am, we are very happy and we are blessed to have you for today's session speaker. And Sunit sir, I'll introduce you in a while when you will be taking up the session.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Anjali ma'am, please take on the session.
A very, very good morning. First of all, thankful to Board of Studies for this wonderful idea and taking this on a very big scale. Congratulating Sushil Kumarji, Sridharji, Gyan Mishra ji for a quick start, and thank you Smita ji for wonderful introduction. A very good morning to all the students. First of all, let me congratulate you also for sparing your Sunday, and you all have made a very right choice to listen to this very important topic, which is rightly said by Gyan Mishra ji, that this will be a backbone for the Indian economy. So let's quickly start the session. Let me share the screen. If you have any doubts, you can just write your question in the chat box and I would be glad to answer them. Yeah. Is this visible to all? Just
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's
great,
visible.
great. Okay. So what we are going to talk today? We are going to talk about what is IBC. We are going to talk about the history. Of course, any law which comes in India always will have an improvement over the previous laws. So we'll be taking the note of the history and then we'll move to IBC. Since it's a law, it will definitely have some technical words. So I'll make you go through the definitions, the terminology. And lastly, of course, as a student, you would be very keen to know that what will be the opportunities available to you once you become a CA, or even after inter-CA, or how as a normal graduate also you can contribute in IBC. So I would be taking care of that professional opportunities too. And students, I have a wonderful case study, of course, very famous case studies, which will help you to give a full landscape of the insolvency. So just listen very carefully, and then we will, at the end, we will discuss the case study of Jet Airways, which will definitely, I'm sure, all the concepts will be clear. In the second session, which will be taken by my co-speaker, Sunit Shah, will be more clear to you when you exactly know the whole process of the CIRP. Okay. So what is IBC? In fact, in every day, the newspaper articles has one thing on IBC. कहीं ना कहीं आपको ये word बहुत सुनने को मिल रहा है, IBBI, IBC. So what is the IBC? Of course, it's a code. It was introduced in May 2016. So it is called Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. It was passed on 28th May. Now, what was the objective of passing this law? You all must have heard the word non-performing assets. So the first thing to deal with the non-performing assets, kiske non-performing assets hote, of course, of the various financial institutions. Now, what is the problem with NPAs? You all must have seen that banks have huge pile-up of NPAs. So we want a speedy resolution for this huge pile-up of the non-performing assets. The name says these assets do not perform, right? So we want the speedy resolution of them. And another pinching point, which is to solve them takes hell lot of time. I'll talk how much delay we have or what is the stage in India. So to reduce the delay in the date resolution, and to solve these three objectives, a special board which was set under the Act of the Parliament, which is called IBBI, Insolvency and Bankruptcy of Board of India. It was set up under the Act of Parliament, and how it will work, I'll also come to that. We have 16 NCLT benches across India. I'll come to what is NCLT. NCLT is National Company Law Tribunal. ये IBBI का काम कौन करेगा? Which will be rooted just as we have Civil Court, we have High Court, we have Supreme Court. This is also a court where all the cases of IBBI will be taken care of. It is called National Company Law Tribunal, a tribunal where we have judge, where we have a technical judge, we have a judicial judge, and then all the cases are present. So it works as a normal court. The 16 benches have been divided across different jurisdictions in India. So these are the three objectives why we want the IBC. Yeah. Second is, as I mentioned, every law is an improvement over the previous law. IBC is a major economic reform introduced under the leadership of Narendra Modi. Why we needed them? Our insolvency laws were very outdated, so we wanted to align our insolvency law according to the international standards. You must have heard Modi ji talking about the ease of doing business, India mein aao, business karo. So how we can improve? According to the World Bank report in 2016, insolvency resolution in India takes around 4.3 years on an average. As compared to UK, it is only 1 year. It's USA, it is 1.5 years. South Africa, it is 2 years. So one of the prime objective is why in India we have 4.3 years. The World Bank Ease of Doing Business Index also says that India was ranking 135th in 2005, according to the World Business Index 2015. And the ease of resolving resolution, we were on 2020 63. And the greatest news is on 2022, we are at 37th position of ease of doing business index. So you can see how the IBC from 2016 to 2022, how it has brought us in terms of brought the ranking of India from 135th to 63 to 37th. Also, in case of default by the equity owners, what is happening in the previous regime was the default was done by equity owners. The default was done by the owners of the business. और वो आराम से घूम रहे हैं. And this is the creditors which is going after them. कि लाओ मेरे पैसे लाओ. So the whole control was with the equity shareholders. They have done default. They are not paying the money and they are free and enjoy what the default. Whereas the creditors, जिसके पीछे जिसके पैसे लगे, they were keep moving around this equity owners. So they wanted to solve all these issues. Now, before I tell you what is there in the IBC, let me take you for a while what were the previous laws before IBC. You can see this chart which talks about the previous laws which were there. Sikh Industrial Companies Act. I'm sure आपकी पढ़ाई में आपने सब ये act देखे होंगे. अगर आपको time मिले, just go through them. Just understand कि act में क्या क्या था. Of course, I would be telling you today also. So, Sikh Industrial Companies Act. Then there was a scheme introduced by RBI, which talks about the corporate debt restructuring and the strategic debt restructuring. We have the RDDB-FI Act, which is called the Recovery of Debts Due to Banks and Financial Institutions. We have a SARFAESI Act 2002, which is very popular. We have a Code of Civil Procedure 1908. We have a President Towns Insolvency Act 1908. And we also have the Provisional Insolvency Act 1920. So these were all the acts before the IBC came into picture. So now let's have a look at कि इसके अंदर क्या-क्या था, इसमें क्या-क्या problem था, and how IBC was an improvement over these laws. Starting with the first one, which is called the SICA. Gyan Chandra Mishra ji already talked about the BF, the Board of Industrial Finance Reconstruction, जिसके अंदर act आता था Sikh Industrial Companies Act 1985. As the name suggests, कोई भी कंपनी जब sick हो जाती है, sick is जैसे ह्यूमन बॉडी बीमार होती है, वैसे ही कंपनी भी बीमार हो सकती है. कैसे कंपनी बीमार हो सकती है? वेरी सिंपल, द नेटवर्थ इज इरोडेड. जितने भी पैसे बिजनेस में लगाए हैं वो पैसे चले गए एंड नाउ द कंपनी इज रनिंग इनटू लॉस. आई यूज द वर्ड नेटवर्थ. नेटवर्थ इज इरोडेड, द कंपनी इज इन डिफॉल्ट, द कंपनी हैज नो मनी टू रन द बिजनेस. इनफैक्ट देयर इज ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ डेट. बट इसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या था? इसमें प्रॉब्लम ये था कि जब हमें कोई बीमारी हो और उस टाइम हम उसका डायग्नोसिस नहीं करते, and then we do the diagnosis at the last stage. As I mentioned, the net worth is eroded. So this was a very backward approach. इंसान मर गया है, उसमें अभी कोई भी प्रॉब्लम उसकी बॉडी में अभी कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं हो सकता. He's on the verge of dying. उस टाइम आप कोई भी मेजर्स करोगे वो काम में नहीं लगेगा. Same is this act. It was a very backward approach. It's a balance sheet approach. Balance sheet approach यानी मैं बीमार हूँ, मेरी पोजीशन, फिर भी मैं राह देख रही हूँ कि नहीं मेरा बॉडी उसको बताएगा, बॉडी की रिपोर्ट निकलवाऊंगी, बैलेंस शीट में जब पता चलेगा कि ये सभी इसमें कुछ भी नहीं बचा, एक्चुअल प्रॉब्लम आएंगे, तब तक मैं उसका वेट कर रही हूँ. And the board was BIFR, that is the Board of Industrial Finance Reconstruction, which is now replaced by NCLT. And if you are not satisfied with any order of the BIFR, you go to the appellate tribunal. You must know, everyone must be knowing कि हर एक कोर्ट, हर एक लेवल ऑफ द जुडिशियरी में अगर आप कोई डिसीजन से सेटिस्फाई नहीं हो तो देयर इज ऑलवेज अ appellate tribunal. So there is a tribunal, उसके ऊपर आता है appellate tribunal. Same is BIFR is the tribunal. अगर उसके ऑर्डर से आप सेटिस्फाई नहीं होते तो you have the appellate tribunal. Just in the same way, now it is replaced by NCLT, National Company Law Tribunal. And if you are not satisfied with any order of the NCLT, you can go to the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. Right? So again, this approach was not the act failed because it was a very backward approach. Second act, I'm sorry with the numbers, don't look at the numbers, they must have been changed. Second is the RDBBFI Act, which is the recovery of dates. किसको due थे? Which is due to banks or the financial institutions. इसमें क्या था? It was applicable to only those banks and financial institutions where the amount is more than 10 lakhs. यानी छोटी banks और financial institutions तो चले गए. The act did not apply to those whose amount was less than 10 lakhs. So of course it is looking for banks and financial institutions, but the dues are more than 10 lakhs. And who were the judiciary? It was the Date Recovery Tribunal, and the appellate was the Date Recovery Appellate Tribunal. So here it failed because the limit was less. The limit was more than 10 lakh. Next is the SARFAESI Act. This is very interesting because, as the name suggests, securitization and reconstruction of financial assets and the enforcement of the security interest Act 2002. इसमें क्या था? इसमें किसको कवरेज मिला? Here, this act takes care of only the secured creditor, as the name suggests, securitization and reconstruction. So here, the coverage was available, the security was available only to secure creditor. You know who are secure creditor? जिसने अपने डेट के सामने कोई सिक्योरिटी दी है. It can be in any form. So there was no. So what was the fault here? No rights, no security available to unsecured creditors. Let's say मैंने किसी को पैसे दिए, I have not given any security. So where should I go? So SARFAESI Act will not have a place for unsecured creditors. The fourth one we have is this RBI launched scheme CDR, which is the corporate debt restructuring. अब इसमें क्या था? Again, इसमें भी limited to banks and financial institutions, जिसका aggregate exposure 10 crore से ऊपर था. How it operates? It is nothing but a voluntary agreement between the creditors and debtors to restructure. You must be knowing how do we restructure that equity se debt, a mix of them. So you are restructuring your debt to reduce your liability. So here the exposure was only to those people above 10 crore. So you just, if you are having a glance, वहाँ से 10 लाख रुपए से ऊपर only secure creditors, here सीधा 10 करोड़ से ऊपर, बीच में किसी को जगह नहीं है. What is strategic debt restructuring? Again, इसमें भी main objective था कि the management has to deal with the stressed assets, but again it proved, since it is being a very closed deal, the expected numbers of cases didn't turn out and the desired results could not be achieved. So in the nutshell, in all these 4 laws, you can see the purpose for which these acts were formed were not able to achieve. And also the limit which was there, that the people were not able to take advantage because of this limit. So the next slide is, I have done a comparison of these 4 laws vis-a-vis how IBC is an improvement over all these 4 laws. Let's start with the trigger amount. Trigger amount is कब मैं ये लॉ का दरवाजा खटखटा सकती हूँ. In SICA, कब वो होगा? The company existed for at least 5 years, and as I mentioned, the accumulated losses is greater than net worth. So you are waiting कि आपका लॉस इतना बड़ा हो जाना चाहिए, it should be greater or equal to the net worth. यानी 100 रुपए का net worth हो तो लॉस मेरा 100 रुपए से ऊपर होना. So you are waiting till the company to become extremely sick, और कंपनी 5 साल का ड्यूरेशन होना चाहिए. What is the trigger point in RDBI? Of course, I have shared the default is 10 lakhs or more than 10 लाख. So नीचे से 10 लाख से लोगों को नहीं मिलेगा. Surface fee only to secure creditor. Restructuring exposure about 10 crore. So nothing less than 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs से ऊपर और सीधा 10 करोड़ से ऊपर. Whereas what is there in IBC? IBC says minimum amount of default is 1 lakh. जब ये introduce किया था 2016 में, the minimum amount of default was 1 lakh. But due to COVID and in order to save the medium and small scale organizations and taking into consideration the 2 years COVID effect, the limit was increased from 1 lakh to 1 crore. Means you can now trigger IBC or take the advantage of the IBC code. The minimum amount of default should be 1 crore and not 1 lakh. Next we move is the objective. Of course, the objective is to revive the 6 industrial units. In RDBI, to recover the money which was due to banks and financial institutions. Here, to enforce the security interest over the property of the borrower and establishment of the asset reconstruction companies. Restructuring, changing the existing terms and conditions so that we are in a better position to pay our debts. And IBC, very, very important to maximize the value of the assets. I'll come to this. How does IBC promotes maximization of the value of the assets? ये कहीं नहीं जा रहा आगे की ऑब्जेक्टिव से. तो IBC में assets कैसे maximize हो सकते हैं? What is the objectives? Let me explain you in a very, very simple term. Let's take an example of any essential goods. For example, Amul. Everybody knows in Gujarat, or in fact worldwide, everybody knows the structure of Amul. Milk being an essential product, we need it daily. Agar let's say, assuming that Amul के dates बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाते हैं and Amul is not able to carry its operations, what will happen? रोज हमें दूध नहीं मिलेगा. Or let's say the Amul is on the verge of closing up. What will happen? We will not get milk. The whole country will not get milk. The whole world where जहाँ Amul की agency है, distribution है, वहाँ पे दूध नहीं मिलेगा. So what is the loss to the society? We will not be able to enjoy all the products of Amul. What is the loss to the economy? Amul is the world's best company, so they will not contribute to the economy. So the objective of IBC is, अगर ऐसी बड़ी companies, अगर promoters उसको manage नहीं कर पाते, तो are there any other promoter who can manage this company well? If yes, let's give management to those companies. Let's say Amul अभी जो भी उसका organization structure है, वो लोग उसको manage नहीं कर पा रहे. So is there anybody else who, let's say you have seen last 6 months, 8 months, कितने सारे mergers और कितने सारे acquisition, Adani taking over ACC. There are so many examples where it is trying to prove that the one management of the company is more sound to carry on this business, where the old management is not. So the objective of the IBC is, with the change in the management of the company, are we still able to enjoy the goods? Are we still able to keep the company ongoing? And if the answer is yes, what we are doing it, we are preserving the value of those assets. In the whole process, let's say Amul बंद हो जाती है, 6 महीने के लिए बंद रहती है, फिर वो कंपनी उसको लेती है, फिर वो assets की value down होती है. We'll come to it when we discuss Jet Airways. So I hope you must have got an idea how we are preserving how the company is saved, how the economy is saved, how the customers still enjoy those goods, and thereby we are protecting, we are maximizing the value of this asset. So this is a very, very beautiful objective of the IBC. The objective of IBC is not to recover the money. आप हमारे डोर मत खटखटाओ अगर आपको पैसे रिकवर करने. Of course, पैसे रिकवर करने आपको मिलेंगे, but at the same time, the company should not be closed down. There is no objective कि ये company बंद हो जाए, ये कंपनी लिक्विडेशन में चले जाए. ऑफ कोर्स अगर कोई ऑल्टरनेटिव नहीं है, कोई उसको खरीददार के लिए नहीं, तो इट्स फाइन, कंपनी बंद हो जाए तो कोई वांधा नहीं. बट द फर्स्ट ऑब्जेक्टिव उसको चालू रखना है, एंड देन इफ नथिंग वर्क्स देन इट कैन गो फॉर liquidation. So this is a very, very beautiful objective of IBC, which is a very good objective as compared to the other laws. Adjudicating authorities have already talked, BIFR and the Appellate Tribunal, DRT, DRAT. In SARFAESI, we have the Chief Metropolitan Magistrate and the District Magistrate. Then we have the restructuring is totally taken care of RBI, whereas in IBC, we have the NCLT and NCLT. Fourth is, of course, we have talked about that one of the objective of the IBC is to reduce the delay in date resolution. So how the delay is taken care of in IBC? In SICA, 5 साल कंपनी का एग्जिस्टेंस हो गया, वो सीक हो गई, उसके बाद भी दो साल. RDBI more than 2 years, SARFAESI 2 years, restructuring it is ongoing, there is no time limit. Whereas in IBC, it says that 6 months to maximum 330 days. In fact, it is in days, not in years. The CRP process is 180 days, and if you need extension, then maximum 330 days, but not more than that. So the years are now converted into days. Maximum resolution आपका कंपनी का 330 days में आ जाना चाहिए. So this is how an IBC is an improvement over all the previous laws. Types of creditors I have covered. Last one is important. पहले में secure था, दोनों type के थे. SARFAESI only secure, restructuring only secure. Whereas IBC, we have unsecured creditors, we have operational creditors as well. I'll come to after a while what is operational creditors and what are financial creditors. Pillars of the legal regime, yes, the adjudicating authorities, the tribunals. Here the auction takes place in the SARFAESI, whereas here IBBI is the regulatory body. Under IBBI, we have the information utilities. Information utilities is अगर मुझे कोई भी information चाहिए when the CRP process is going on, कि कोई company IBC में है, तो there is a data collection. जो data restore जैसे server होता है, वैसे information utilities is the data collection point for all the companies. And then we have NCLT, and इसका काम कौन करेगा? जैसे insolvency professional. In the introduction, Smita ji has already said that me and my co-speaker Sunisha, we both are insolvency professional. तो हम क्या करते हैं वो भी आपको I'll tell you in a while what is our role as an insolvency professional. So these are the key stakeholders in IBC, IBBI, NCLT, and insolvency professionals. So now let's talk about IBC. Further about IBC. So we have discussed the history of previous laws, how IBC is an improvement over previous law. Now आपको मैं ज़्यादा बताऊंगी कि IBC में क्या है. Number one, time bound process. I've already told 180 days, फिर 90 days का extension. Then a maximum by 330 days resolution होना चाहिए. So it's a time bound resolution process to solve insolvency. Number two, second duty is both can start recovery proceedings. ऐसा नहीं है कि let's say creditor हूँ और मुझे पैसा चाहिए तो ही मैं insolvency में नहीं जा सकती हूँ. Even I as a debtor can go to insolvency. If I feel that I'm not able to run my company properly and I voluntarily want to dissolve this company, I don't want this, मुझे कंपनी के साथ आगे काम नहीं चला तो मैं खुद भी जा सकती हूँ. So both can start the recovery proceedings against each other. I have talked much about how the value of the assets can be preserved and would be talking more when the practical case study of Jet Airways will be shared. Next is to promote entrepreneurship. This is also very important. जैसे मैंने बताया कि IBC का ऑब्जेक्टिव एसेट्स को प्रिजर्व करना है. अभी अमूल के प्रमोटर्स जैसे जेट एयरवेज के प्रमोटर्स थे गोयल कंपनी. द गोयल ग्रुप were not able to handle Jet Airways. So fine, the act says that आप नहीं handle कर पा तो किसी और को दे दो. Right? So in order to promote entrepreneurship, people buying other companies. So one of the objective is to promote entrepreneurship and the company not being closed down. We still continue to enjoy the resources, the services given by those companies. So to promote entrepreneurship. Next is to balance the interest of all stakeholders. IBC में सबके लिए जगह है. Secured है, unsecured है, employees है, financial creditors है, सबके लिए everybody's interest is taken care of. Previous laws के जैसा नहीं कि आपको protection नहीं मिलेगा. Another important thing is the government dues. Government dues यानी organization को जो भी government को देना है, the dues in terms of whether it is income tax, whether it is GST, whether there are any other स्टैट्यूटरी लेबर कॉस्ट पीएफ में देना है, ग्रेजुटी में देना है, तो एक्ट सेज दैट कि आप पहले बाहर वालों को पैसा दो, सरकार को जो पैसा देना है वो आप लास्ट में देना। तो जो कंपनी जब लिक्विडेट होती है तो लिक्विडेशन का जो वाटरफॉल है, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ पेमेंट का जो फॉल है, उसमें गवर्नमेंट ने बोला कि आप मुझे लास्ट में रखना, आप पहले सब फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर्स, सिक्योर क्रेडिटर्स, अनसिक्योर क्रेडिटर्स, ऑपरेशनल क्रेडिटर्स को पैसा दे दो, बाद में जो पैसा बचेगा आपको मुझे देना। ऑफ कोर्स पैसा कुछ बचता नहीं है, तभी कंपनी आईबीसी में आती है, बट दैट्स अ डिफरेंट सिनेरियो। द वाटरफॉल सेज दैट पे अस लास्ट। So these are the 6 important objectives of IBC. Entrepreneurship को प्रमोट करता है, टाइमली रिजोल्यूशन देता है, सबका इंटरेस्ट इज बीन टेकन केयर ऑफ, कंपनी वही की वही रहती है, so that the value of the assets is preserved. Now let's talk about the features of the IBC. मैंने आपको पहले ही बता दिया, it is the single most important law which has replaced, which has modified, which has amended certain existing law, meaning thereby all the laws जो आपने पहले देखे, IBC will have a overriding effect on all the laws. Overriding effect यानी जब भी कोई कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होता है, पहले तो ये प्रोविंशियल एक्ट वो सब अभी they are no more applicable, number 1. Number 2, कभी भी कोई लॉ और आईबीसी का कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होता है तो आईबीसी विल प्रीवेल, राइट? सो आईबीसी विल बी सुप्रीम. सो इट इज द सिंगल मोस्ट इफेक्टिव major reform which will have an overriding effect on other laws. Next is किसको applicable है? Of course, it is not applicable to the corporate financial service provider like banks, NBFCs, insurance companies. आप नहीं देखोगे कि हम कभी भी कोई बैंक के ऊपर आईबीसी नहीं कर सकते. Similarly for non-banking, they are out of the purview of the IBC, and for them there is a separate resolution. They cannot take advantage of IBC. So IBC is applicable to individuals, IBC is applicable to partnership firms, IBC is applicable to companies, whether it's a private limited company or it's a public limited company, but it is not applicable to the corporate financial service providers. Next is provides from moratorium period from the insolvency commencement date. Okay, now insolvency commencement date means, for example, आज कोई कंपनी सीआरपी में एडमिट हो गई. सीआरपी का आप देखोगे बहुत सारी पब्लिक अनाउंसमेंट्स आती है इन द लोकल न्यूज़पेपर एज वेल एज इन दी फाइनेंशियल न्यूज़पेपर्स. अगर कोई कंपनी आज एडमिट हुई तो वो डेट उसको कहते हैं इंसॉल्वेंसी कमेंसमेंट डेट. नाउ आज की डेट में अगर कोई कंपनी इंसॉल्वेंट हो गई तो उसको मोरेटोरियम लग जाता है. नाउ व्हाट इज मोरेटोरियम? बाय मोरेटोरियम इट मींस दिस कंपनी इज एडमिटेड अंडर आईबीसी, तो बाकी के जितने भी एक्ट में, फॉर एग्जांपल जेट एयरवेज इज इन सीआईआरपी, तो सीआरपी में जेट एयरवेज के जितने भी केसेस बाकी सब एक्ट और बाकी सब कोर्ट में चलते तो वो सब बंद हो जाएगी. मीनिंग देयर बाय व्हेन आई एम अंडर आईबीसी, या सिंपल एग्जांपल है, लेट्स से मेरा ट्रीटमेंट कोई पर्टिकुलर प्रॉब्लम के लिए एक हॉस्पिटल में हो रहा है, तो बाकी मेरे जितने भी ट्रीटमेंट्स अगर चल रहे हैं वो सब बंद हो जाएंगे ना. तो एट ए टाइम में एक ही लॉ का फायदा ले सकती हूँ, बाकी सब लॉ का फायदा नहीं ले सकती. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड मोरेटोरियम. तो मेरे जितने भी केसेस है, लेट्स से सिविल कोर्ट में चल रहे हैं या इनकम टैक्स में एपेलेट में चल रहे हैं या जीएसटी में कुछ रिफंड करके, वो सब केसेस बंद हो जाएंगे. सो इट इज कॉल्ड मोरेटोरियम. दैट विल स्टॉप. Next is the court shift the focus from debtors in possession to creditors in control. A very very important thing. मैंने आपको पहले ही बताया था कि इक्विटी ओनर्स एक तो खुद डिफॉल्ट करेंगे, डिफॉल्ट करने के बाद आराम से घूमेंगे और क्रेडिटर्स उनके पीछे चलते रहेंगे, राइट? बट यहाँ पे क्या है, अभी उल्टा हो गया है. यहाँ पे आईबीसी में पूरा कंट्रोल कौन ले लेगा? क्रेडिटर्स. डेटर्स को हम एक रूम में लॉक कर देंगे, ओनर्स को हम एक रूम में लॉक कर देंगे और बोलेंगे तू चुपचाप बैठ, मुझे जो डेटा चाहिए वो मैं मांगूंगा, बट नाउ यू डोंट हैव एनी रोल टू प्ले. आई विल डिसाइड कि मेरे पैसे इस कंपनी में लगे हैं तो मैं उसको कैसे निकालूंगा. सो द कंट्रोल शिफ्ट्स फ्रॉम डेटर्स टू क्रेडिटर्स. दैट्स द वेरी वे. कैसे हम लोग काम करेंगे, कैसे क्रेडिटर्स काम करेंगे, आई डेफिनेटली शेयर व्हेन वी डिस्कस जेट एयरवेज. सो a major shift comes from टेस्ट ऑफ इंसॉल्वेंसी कब होगा? कब कंपनी इंसॉल्वेंट होगी? एक एक फंडा, पेमेंट डिफॉल्ट। फिर वो डिफॉल्ट बैंक के मैंने पैसे नहीं दिए, कोई इंडिविजुअल के पैसे नहीं दिए, कोई एम्प्लॉयज के पैसे नहीं, मैं इन एनी केस आई कैन नॉक द डोर्स ऑफ आईबीसी। सो द टेस्ट ऑफ इंसॉल्वेंसी, आपने प्रीवियस लॉज में देखा था कि हम नेटवर्थ इरोजन के लिए वेट करते थे, बट नाउ यू डोंट हैव टू वेट फॉर द नेटवर्थ इरोजन। द मोमेंट इट इज पेमेंट डिफॉल्ट, फॉर एग्जाम्पल एज ऑफ नाउ, अगर कोई बैंक के 1 करोड़, कोई बैंक का 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा रुपया लेना बाकी है कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से, तो बैंक जा सकती है आईबीसी में। कोई एम्प्लॉय का लेना बाकी है, कोई ऑपरेशनल क्रेडिटर के पैसे लेने बाकी है, तो दे ऑल कैन नॉक द डोर्स ऑफ आईबीसी इफ द अमाउंट ऑफ पेमेंट डिफॉल्ट इज मोर देन 1 करोड़ रुपीज। राइट, मुझे वेट करने की जरूरत नहीं। ऑफ कोर्स there is a process, we need to follow that process, but yes, if I can knock the doors anytime the moment it is payment default. Of course payment default का definition भी हम करेंगे कि किसको बोलते हैं default, right? And lastly, I have also mentioned the time bound resolution process. So these are the important features of IBC. सब laws repeal हो गए, किसको applicable है? Individual and companies, partnership firms. जब आईबीसी में वो जाएगा तो मोरेटोरियम लग जाएगा। the control shifts from debtors to creditors. The creditors will take control of the organization along with the insolvency professional, when you can trigger it anytime the moment it is default in payment. And lastly, it's a time bound resolution process. उसका आपको पूरा resolution जो time frame, in fact dear students, आईबीसी में हर एक दिन का काम है। यानी जब हमारे पास कोई केस आता है तो हमारे एक्शन प्लान में हर एक दिन का हमको लिखना पड़ता है कि आज हमने क्या किया। सो हर एक दिन का 180 डेज हमको कैसे क्या काम करना है वो सब उसके अंदर लिखा है। अगर वो 180 डेज में कोई फॉर एन नंबर ऑफ रीजंस वो काम अटक जाता है, देन आई कैन टेक एक्सटेंशन ऑफ अनदर 90 डेज, दैट इज 270 डेज। सो हर एक दिन का हमको काम, बिकॉज इट इज टाइम बाउंड, द सीआरपी विल नॉट वेट फॉर एनीवन। मुझे वो 180 डेज में वो पूरी फाइल कंप्लीट करनी है, एंड दैट इज व्हाई इट इज टाइम बाउंड रिजोल्यूशन प्रोसेस। सो दीज आर द इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर्स ऑफ आईबीसी। व्हाट नेक्स्ट? इम्पैक्ट ऑफ आईबीसी। नाउ आपने देखा आईबीसी का ऑब्जेक्टिव्स क्या है, आईबीसी के ऑब्जेक्टिव्स क्या है, आईबीसी के फीचर्स क्या है। नाउ इसका इम्पैक्ट क्या होता है? नाउ बोथ कंपनीज कैन बी ब्रॉट अंडर अ कॉमन फोरम, यानी वहां प्रीवियस लॉज में क्या था, अलग अलग फोरम्स थे। यहाँ पे आप एनसीएलटी हो या सरफेसी का डीआरटी हो, सबको आप कॉमन फोरम में both the parties can be brought under the common forum. Next is, while borrowers may file resolution application seeking moratorium, but borrower will have to face the threat of liquidation and bankruptcy. Of course, borrowers resolution applications, I'll come to it, what is resolution applications, but यहाँ पे liquidation के भी chances हो सकते हैं, bankruptcy के भी chances हो सकते हैं। Debtors under banker driven restructuring can go for NCLT या DRT. In view of mandatory timelines, the case may reach bankruptcy stage faster. I'll discuss this slide at a later stage. पहले मैं आपको सब केस समझा दूं, फिर आप will come back to this. Now, moratorium मैंने आपको पहले ही बता दिया। Any proceeding pending under the various existing insolvency law comes to a halt during the CRP process of the company. देखो क्या नाम लिखा है, कॉर्पोरेट इंसॉल्वेंसी रिजोल्यूशन प्रोसेस, यानी कंपनीज का इंसॉल्वेंसी होता है। सी यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस टू वर्ड्स, इंसॉल्वेंसी एंड बैंक्रप्सी। सो इंसॉल्वेंसी का किसको एप्लीकेबल होता है? कॉर्पोरेट। जब कोई कॉर्पोरेट इंसॉल्वेंट हो जाता है, इंसॉल्वेंट यानी दी liabilities are more than the asset. Simple language में हम बोले तो liabilities are more than the asset. We are not able to pay our debt. So insolvency word is used for companies. Companies नादार हो जाती है तब उसको insolvency बोलते हैं। Bankruptcy is for individual. जब कोई individual की liabilities are more than the asset, then the word uses bankruptcy. So that is how it comes insolvency and bankruptcy. जब कंपनीज का इंसॉल्वेंसी होता है तो हम बोलते हैं कॉर्पोरेट इंसॉल्वेंसी रिजोल्यूशन, जिसको बोलते हैं CIRP. सो जो सुनीत सर आपको डिटेल में समझाएंगे। So corporate insolvency resolution process of the companies. No jurisdiction of civil courts under the court. मैंने क्या बताया, सब जितने भी processes चल रहे हैं वो सब stagnant हो जाएंगे. We not the court under the court, कोई कोर्ट का नहीं चलेगा. Everybody's process will be at halt. Next is choice of liquidation under IBC. The creditors जो होते हैं उनको IBC में choice मिलती है कि आपको liquidation IBC में करना है या अपने आप भी liquidation कर सकते हो. So that is also a choice given, which will be again taken in detail in the next session. Okay, so what we have discussed the history, the objectives, the features of the IBC, and now we move to the IBC Act. Of course, Act आपको नहीं पढ़ाऊंगी. Act के लिए हमको जैसे हमने भी exam दी थी to clear this, you have to read in very much detail, but this is just a snapshot. The code is divided into 5 parts. It's called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every part has its own thing. पहले part में आता है definitions, दूसरे part में सब chapters हैं. 3 is the applicability. 4th is the infrastructure required, क्या code के अंदर infrastructures, and 5th deals with the amendments, the penalty, the transactional provisions, and the schedules. किसो applicable है? I've already mentioned companies, partnership, and individuals. As of now, the infrastructure in India is not adequate कि हम partnership और individuals का भी process चालू करें. So it is as of now applicable only to companies, and that is why in the next session we will be only covering about only the CIRPs. So right now it is applicable only to companies. It can be a private limited company, it can be a public limited company, and the default should be more than 1 crore. The 1 lakh limit is replaced on 25th March 2021 to 1 crore threshold. And of course in that year the law was also suspended कि उसके अंदर कोई काम नहीं चलता था because of the COVID. So now only companies, and the threshold limit is should be more than 1 crore. The default limit should be more than 1 crore. Okay. Now before we go to the Jet Airways case, I'll take you to the terminology because it is very important. जब मैं वहाँ पे कुछ words use करूँगी तो आपको उसके बारे में पता होना चाहिए, and then we will discuss the Jet Airways case in detail. So now, any doubts up till now? If you have any doubts, if you want me to explain anything, you can kindly share in the chat box. As I will straight away go to the terminologies. Okay, wonderful. So no doubt means perfectly आप सबको समझ में आ गया है. Great. So let's now go to the definitions, the terminology which is used under the Act. First of all, insolvency, very simple. Assets are less than the liabilities, whereby I'm the ability to pay dates. I'm not able to pay my dates. So it's a comparison with solvency. आपने accounting में भी पढ़ा होगा solvency ratios. आपने बहुत सारी जगह पे we check these solvency ratios, whether I'm able to, whether the organization, the companies have the ability to pay its dates or not, right? Dates can be, it can be financial dates, it can be operational dates, any dates. Next is liquidation. Liquidation में company कब जाती है? जब मुझे मेरा कोई, there is nobody to take the companies as it is, whereby at the last resort, I am forced to go for liquidation. Sorry, liquidation में क्या होता है? Very simple. In fact, हम लोग एक balance sheet बनाते हैं as an insolvency professional. के assets क्या है, liabilities क्या है? Of course, my liabilities will be more than the assets. So what will I do is, in liquidation we sell these assets. Again, उसका भी हम valuation करते हैं, because the valuation which is there in the books of accounts will not match the valuation as on the CIRP date, right? So liquidation के जो भी assets है उसकी value निकलती है, and then we sold these assets in order to pay off the liabilities, right? So that is called liquidation. Liquidation is the process of selling the assets and we pay to the creditors. Now, what is winding up? Of course, winding up includes liquidation. Winding up is that liquidation can be one of the reasons for winding up, But there can be many other reasons where I want to wind up. As I mentioned in the earlier slide, that यहाँ पे डेटर खुद भी जा सकता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी मैंने एक कंपनी का वाइंडिंग अप किया था, वो कंपनी 20 साल से बंद है. उसका द कंपनी के सब एसेट्स हैव बीन टेकन बाय द फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर्स अंडर सरफेसिंग. तो नाउ अभी ये कंपनी को मुझे बंद करना है. सो आई हैव ट्रिगर्ड आईबीसी अंडर द कॉर्पोरेट डेटर. मैंने डेटर के सेक्शन में यहाँ पे आई हैव नॉक द डोर्स ऑफ आईबीसी. तो इवन एज अ डेटर आई कैन क्लोज द कंपनी. सो वाइंडिंग अप इज अ टर्म greater than liquidation. It includes removal of names used only for the corporate persons. So here the section, I'll come to the section as well. Section 7 है, Section 9 है और Section 10 है. Section 7 में financial creditor जा सकता है, 9 में operational creditor जा सकता है और Section 10 में corporate debtor जा सकता है. So winding up is Section 10. Removal of names like death certificate for individual. The individual is no more existing. Similarly, the company is no more existing. So I have to remove the name of the company from the MCA records. Bankruptcy, just as we use for companies liquidation, bankruptcy is the liquidation and insolvency for the corporate persons. Sorry, here the bankruptcy is not for corporate persons. It is for the individuals. Now, what are corporate persons and what are corporate debtors? Just a second. Yeah, I need to, yeah. Okay. So what are corporate person? Corporate person is a company under the Companies Act. Uske andar LLP bhi aa gayi, which is as per the LLP Act, or any other person incorporate with the limited liability. So the corporate person is a company plus an LLP. What is a corporate debtor? The corporate debtor is nothing but a corporate person who owes a debt to any person, right? So corporate person who owes a debt to any person is a corporate debtor. Now we come to the definition of creditors. Who is a creditor? Creditor means any person to whom a debt is owed. जिसको हमें पैसे देने बाकी है. It can be a financial creditor. It can be an operational creditor. It can be a secure creditor. It can be a secure creditor. So before we do this definitions of the various types of creditor, let's understand what is debt. Let's understand what is default, and automatically the definition of the creditors will be clear. Debt, it's a liability. It's an obligation. क्यों वो liability obligation है? Because there is a claim. Claim क्या है? Which is due from any person, which includes the financial debt and operational debt. Very simple example. बैंक से मैंने लोन ली है. So it's a financial debt. What is the claim? The claim is due from banks. What is the liability? Let's say I've taken a loan and it's a financial debt. Why it's a financial debt? Because I have taken the loan from banks, right? Whereby I'm paying the interest. Security might be there, security may not be there. So it's a claim, it's a liability due from a person. और ये क्यों financial liability है, financial debt है? Because मैंने loan ली है. It is not against goods, it is not against service, it is purely the nature of loan. Financial transaction, that's why it's a financial debt. What's an operational debt? As the name suggests, operation के लिए. So any amount which is due because of the goods or because of the services taken from the creditors is the operational debt. मुझे क्यों उसको पैसे देने? क्योंकि मैंने पैसे, because मैंने उससे goods खरीदे हैं, right? मैंने उससे services ली है. So it's an operational debt. So any person, any creditor owning a financial debt is a financial creditor, and any person having operational debt is an operational creditor. Simple. So debt is a liability or obligation. जो nature of transaction उसके हिसाब से वो financial debt होता है या तो फिर वो operational debt होता है. So what is debt? Debt is simple. Non-payment of debt, whether it is wholly or partly or installment, the amount of debt has become due and payable and it is not paid. Very simple. Let's say मुझे creditors को 90 days के बाद, let's say operational creditor जिसके पास से मैंने goods खरीदा है, and the credit period given to me is 90 days, right? On 91st date, what will happen? 90 days में वो due हो जाता है. 90 days, on 90th date वो payable भी हो जाता है. Let's say on 90th day it has become due and payable, On 91st date, it is due payable, or अगर मैं payment नहीं करती तो it is not paid. So that is, so default starts from 91 days, right? When it becomes due, when it becomes payable, and when it is not paid. So that is called default. Same things happen for the financial date, right? So financial date, default, and creditors. Financial creditor, a person to whom a financial date is owed. Operational creditor, a person to whom a operational date is due. Operational date में it is very important कि we have to establish the dispute. Dispute यानी let's say मेरा default हुआ है. I am an operational creditor, but I have to be very clear कि कितना amount of date है, कोई quality of goods और services का कोई issue नहीं है. अगर सर्विस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है तो कोई ब्रीच हुआ नहीं है, कोई वारंटी या रिप्रेजेंटेशन का. सो ऑपरेशनल क्रेडिटर मीन्स अ पर्सन टू whom ऑपरेशनल डेट इज ड्यू एंड देयर इज अ डिस्प्यूट विथ रिगार्ड टू एनी ऑफ दिस. या तो अमाउंट का झगड़ा है या तो क्वालिटी का झगड़ा है. अगर सर्विस है तो कोई भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया है, कोई वारंटी दी है, उसका कोई ब्रीच है. सो इट इज वेरी क्लियर. क्रेडिटर, इट कैन बी क्रेडिटर किसके लिए है? डेट के लिए है. डेट कैन बी फाइनेंशियल, ऑपरेशनल. When you can trigger insolvency, of course, when there is a default, when there is a payment default, and the creditors are of two types: financial creditors and operational creditors. So who will come under financial creditors? All banks. जिसके पास मैंने financial transaction जिसके भी साथ की है, they all will be financial credit. It can be banks, it can be individual parties, it can be individual companies who have given secured, unsecured loan. They will all come under financial creditors. And who will come under operational creditors? In operational creditors, जिसके साथ मैंने goods या services या के transaction किए. So it can be creditors for goods, it can be creditors for services. Your employees can be your operational creditors. क्यों? क्योंकि employees के पास से आपने क्या लिया? Services लिया. The labor services you have taken to run your organization. And it also includes government, right? So operational creditor, it is creditors for goods, creditors for expenses, creditor employees, and even the government, they all come under the operational creditors. Dispute, I've already talked about. Dispute क्या होता है? या तो कोई केस चल रहा है, कोई सूट है, या arbitration proceedings है. इश्यू कोई भी हो सकता है. इश्यू रिगार्डिंग द अमाउंट. आप बोल रहे हो मुझे 1 लाख लेना है, वो बोल रहा है नहीं आपको 50,000 ही देना है. क्वालिटी का कोई इश्यू और गुड्स का या सर्विसेज. दिस इज वेरी पॉपुलर विद द सर्विस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. देन देयर इज अ ब्रीच ऑफ रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ वारंटी. Financial date, I've already mentioned, it's a date along with interest. Operational date is a claim in respect of provision of goods or service, and it includes employment. मैंने आपको बताया employees भी आपके operational date हुए, and it also includes any amount which is payable to the central government, state government, or any local authority. So they all come under the purview of operational date. Next is COC. I'll explain you what is COC. Committee of Creditors, जिसके अंदर खाली financial creditors ही आएंगे. I'll tell you what is COC. Okay. Now we will take about the insolvency case, a very popular case. आपने Jet Airways का of course news में सुना ही होगा, Jet Airways के बारे में. So we will discuss the case study of Jet Airways. I hope अभी तक सब clear हो गया है आपको definitions और and you have got all the clarities so that you will be able to understand this case in a proper way. If you have any doubt, please type in the chat box as I continue with the case study. Okay. So let's talk about Jet Airways. Yeah, you on the right hand side, I have taken the dates where the Cub Jet Airways ने अपना operations. Everybody, I have taken this case study because it is easy to relate to everybody. Everybody, of course, must have enjoyed the services of Jet. It was one of the premier air flyer. Of course, now it is Indigo, but those days before 3-4 years, there are still loyal customers of Jet Airways, and they were performing wonderfully well. But what happened to Jet Airways? Jet Airways shut its operations on April 2019. Of course, uska reason tha cash. You must be knowing that this airline industries are heavily invested. They are all airlines ko chalana, yani you need huge amount of money. So there were some issues with the cash. They were not able to match even the working capital requirement for running the airways. So they had to shut the operations in April 2019. After that, the owner, the Goel Group, tried कि हमें IBC में नहीं जाना पड़े, settlement हो जाए companies, banks के साथ. They have explored various ways before going to IBC कि इसको कोई ले ले या कुछ settlement हो जाए, but they could not. And finally, who were the people who were asking money? There was a huge amount of money given by SBI along with other banks. And that's why I've written the word SBI-led lenders consortium. They are all financial creditors. So along with SBI, there was various other banks, and all the banks decided that let's go to NCLT and start the CRP process against Jet Airways. So it was on June 20, 2019 that the insolvency petition was filed by SBI along with other bankers. So that's how the IBC started. But of course, uske aage bahut sare procedure hue, and the last resort was the IBC. Now, company jab IBC mein jati hai to kya hota hai, right? SBI plus all the banks, wo log inko, they took the Jet Airways to the NCLT. Now, how it works, kaise kaam hota hai? सबसे पहले हमें पब्लिक अनाउंसमेंट देना पड़ता है. नाउ कैसे हम करते हैं आपको मैं समझाऊंगी. SBI along with other banks NCLT में गई, पहले हमको पिटिशन फाइल करते. इट इज नॉट स्ट्रेट अवे कि आज मैंने केस डाला और आज ही एडमिट हो गया. एडमिशन के पहले एक पिटिशन का स्टेज होता है. यू हैव टू prove to NCLT why this case should be admitted. So both the sides, let's say for example in this case the banks and on the other side the equity owners, वो दोनों के बीच में discussion होगा in the court. Of course it will be through advocates, through insolvency professionals. They will discuss कि yes dispute है, पहले तो पैसा लेना बनता है, कितना पैसा लेना बनता है, is there a dispute, and is there a possibility of settlement. These are all the options which NCLT will explore. And at the end, when you feel that the settlement nahi ho sakta, the party is, because another beauty of this company not going CRP, this is very, very important. Please listen very carefully. अगर कोई कंपनी CRP में जाती है, then the owners or the promoters will not be able to get this company back. A very, very important, remarkable feature. You will not be able to get your own company back. The reason is very clear. In order to promote entrepreneurship, in order to maximize the value of the assets, IBC is very clear. अगर आप अपनी कंपनी को अच्छी से मैनेज नहीं कर पाए, तो फिर there is no point of giving you back the company. आपने इतना कंपनी को नहीं मैनेज कर पाए, तभी ये दिन आया ना. तो why we should give you the company back? Even आप रिजोल्यूशन में वो पैसे दे के कंपनी को खरीदते हो, तो it's a big no. एक बार कंपनी IBC में आ गई, then it is the owners have to just go away with the company. You cannot get your company back. Of course, there are various means and the practical ways in which you can come up अपने friends से, family से, वो अलग चीज है. But आप खुद ये कंपनी को वापस नहीं ले सकते. So even the court before it is admitted, petition stage में भी बहुत time जाता है. It ranges from 6 months to 4 years to get a company admitted. So finally for SBI petition तो पहले ही filed, but it got admitted on 9th June 20, led by SBI. consortium. So SBI led all the banks, they are all the financial creditors. Now उसके बाद क्या आता है, कौन ये कंपनी को, creditors तो है, creditors are in control, but procedure कौन करेगा? So they will also appoint an insolvency professional. Insolvency professional is the representative like us. We are the representative of the court. हमें ये देखना है decision सब कौन लेंगे? Creditors in control. Who are the creditors in control? Who are the financial creditors here? They are all SBI led, all the banks, right? So they will decide कि ये कंपनी के साथ क्या होगा, बट कोर्ट के प्रोसीजर फॉलो हो रहे नहीं, कोर्ट में जो एक्ट के हिसाब से काम हो रहा है नहीं, दैट विल बी टेकन केयर बाय इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल्स लाइक अस. So the creditors in control and the insolvency professionals togetherly decide कि कंपनी के साथ क्या करेंगे. So what is the first stage they do? We give public announcement. Public announcement यानी सबको पता होना चाहिए ना कि Jet Airways is in CRP. Now you will tell me why सबको पता होना चाहिए? Because all the creditors जिसको Jet Airways के पास पैसे लेने, भले बैलेंस शीट में जो भी लिखा हो, I am not going to as an insolvency professional मैं वेरीफाई नहीं करने वाली कि बैलेंस शीट में किसका. You have to again file a claim. Again उसके प्रॉपर फॉर्म्स है, उसका प्रॉपर स्ट्रक्चर है, उसके प्रॉपर डॉक्यूमेंट्स आपको. So as a creditor, for example, if I am an employee, मुझे ये फॉर्म फिल अप करना पड़ेगा जो एम्प्लॉय का फॉर्म है कि लेट्स से मैंने ये तारीख से ये तारीख काम किया था, इतने मेरी सैलरी थी और इतना पैसा मुझे निकलता है. सो देयर इज अ पब्लिक अनाउंसमेंट व्हिच स्टार्ट्स विद, देन with public announcement you will get all claims in different forms. So they receive claims of 24,88,000 crore for financial creditors and employees, और उसमें से admit हुए 8460. Of course the resolution professional सब claims जो देते हैं वो पूरे valid नहीं होते. So as a resolution professional you have to check किसमें से कितने claims eligible है और कितने admit हो सकते हैं. So finally 8,462 crores were the claims admitted by the resolution प्रोफेशनल. उसके बाद क्या होगा? मेरी बैलेंस शीट बन गई, मेरी लायबिलिटीज आ गई 8462, एसेट्स तो मेरे पास है ही, मैं वो एसेट्स का भी वैल्यूएशन कराऊंगी उस टाइम. देयर आर वैल्यूअर्स फॉर ईच. IBBI along with the regulation for the IBC, they also created infrastructure for valuation in India. इंडिया में अभी तक वैल्यूएशन स्ट्रीमलाइन नहीं था, बट देन MCA gave the power to IBBI कि आप ये valuation reform को भी थोड़ा अच्छा कर दो. And then IBBI came कि now valuation in India will be done by only 3 categories of registered valuers. First is land and building, second is plant and machinery, and the third category is securities or financial assets. So apart from the assets which do not fall into land and building or plant and machinery, they all will come under the third category. और जैसे हम इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल है वैसे ही रजिस्टर्ड वैल्यूअर है, उसकी भी अलग एग्जाम है, उसका भी अलग. आई एम अ रजिस्टर्ड वैल्यूअर एज वेल फॉर द सिक्योरिटीज और फाइनेंशियल एसेट्स. चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट कैन give exam and they are eligible to be the registered valuers for securities or financial assets. So ये मेरे सब एसेट्स का मैं वैल्यूएशन इनके पास कराऊंगी, तो उससे मेरी एसेट भी आ जाएगी. सो वैल्यूएशन डन बाय ऑल द इंडिविजुअल कैटेगरी से मुझे एसेट्स मिलेगा, लायबिलिटीज मिलेगी, ये लोग सब क्लेम फाइल करेंगे. फिर मैं क्या करूंगी? सिंपल, मेरा हेल्थ आ गया, मेरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का हेल्थ जो है कि अभी उसका क्या है स्टेटस, तो ये एसेट्स और लायबिलिटीज मैं लोगों को अभी बुलाऊंगी कि इफ यू आर रेडी टू बाय जेट एयरवेज डू कम, जिसको बोलते हैं रिजोल्यूशन प्रोसेस. ऑफ कोर्स उसके लिए हम EOI देते हैं, एक्सप्रेशन ऑफ इंटरेस्ट न्यूज़पेपर में देते हैं, एंड वी इनवाइट पीपल दैट इफ यू आर इंटरेस्टेड टू बाय जेट एयरवेज. फिर उनके साथ हम ये एसेट्स और लायबिलिटी शेयर करते हैं. सो ऑन March 13 यू कैन सी June 20 को हुआ 2019, और 20 में भी हमको कोई आया नहीं खरीदने. सो वी हैव आस्क्ड फॉर मोर टाइम फ्रॉम NCLT because there were no bidder. NCLT allowed more time for the resolution process, and meanwhile NCLT also allows Jet Airways to sell its premises because employees को pay. It is continuing. So employees और उसको payment के लिए उसको एक आध asset sell भी करने पड़े, right? So finally on May 20 they got an approval कि आप ज्यादा टाइम लो. July 2020 finally they got the bidders, and the bidders were the Jalan Consortium and the Imperial Capital जिसने ये revival plan submit किया. उसका resolution का सबका scanning होता है, जितनी भी companies इसको उसका proper due diligence करते हैं कि ये लोग क्या पैसे लाएंगे, what is their resolution, कैसे ये date pay करेंगे, कब company जिंदा होगी. So we have to check that also. And October द COC. नाउ इसके अंदर COC में कौन होगा? COC मैंने आपको बताया, द COC comprises of only financial creditors. Financial creditors companies में नहीं है तो operational creditors आएंगे. But this financial creditors, so in this Jet Airways, it is SBI plus all banks. They are all financial creditors. COC का काम क्या है? COC will decide कि सब decision COC में pass हो. It's a committee. Committee of creditors along with insolvency professional will decide कि ये company के साथ क्या हो. इसका मैं आपको beautiful example दे सकती हूँ. Resolution professional or the IRPs, they are just driving a car. कार कहाँ रोकनी है, कहाँ ले जाना है, कहाँ पे stop करना है, everything will be decided by COC. So RP are just the drivers. They will guide the COC, but the ultimate decision will be taken by COC. So COC ने approve कर दिया, of course उसके percentage होते हैं. अगर COC में भी अगर कुछ problems है तो उसके अप्रूवल के परसेंटेज होते हैं. It was 75%, of course to 66. The co-speaker will talk more about it. So the COC finally उन्होंने approve किया, and who were the bid approval was given with the Kalrock Jalan group. फिर ये हमें NCLT में भी approve करवाना पड़ता है. So NCLT also approved the resolution plan, and finally it was decided that the Jet Airways will be given to the Kalrock Jalan company. Now what happened next? So you would be wondering कि ये आगे हुआ क्यों नहीं कुछ भी. Just a second. So what happened further? COC approved the Jalan group, and what happened once the approval is done? The consortium also asked. आपको पता होगा कि Jet Airways में what are the assets? Of course, the plane is the asset, but apart from that, बाकी क्या assets होते हैं, right? Or other way around, let me put it in this way, कि इतने time ये operation बंद हुआ, तो what is the loss of asset to Jet Airways? I'll share that slide first. Okay, 2 साल, in fact 3 years now, तो क्या क्या loss हुआ? Number one, loss of employees. Employees, so of course they will not continue. अगर उनको salary मिलती है तो वो continue करेंगे, but उनका भी पैसा बाकी है. So loss of employees, retaining a team of personnel, maintenance of aircraft, इनके engines जहाँ जहाँ पड़े हैं. A very important point, another asset for them is the airport slot. आप देखोगे कि कभी भी हम लोग एयर फ्लाइट बुक करते हैं तो हम क्या देखते हैं? प्राइम टाइम्स जो होते हैं, जो स्लॉट्स होते हैं, तो हर एक एयरवेज के स्लॉट्स होते हैं. सो जेट एयरवेज वाज एंजॉयिंग 700 स्लॉट्स अक्रॉस द ग्लोब. 700 स्लॉट्स थे और उसमें से ज्यादा प्राइम टाइम इज द मॉर्निंग टाइम एंड द इवनिंग टाइम, प्राइम टाइम. तो वो 700 स्लॉट्स भी, स्लॉट इज व्हाट? एन ऑथराइजेशन टू टेक ऑफ और लैंड ऑन अ पर्टिकुलर एयरपोर्ट on a particular day and on a particular time. तो उसके पास 700 slots है, which is also an asset. तो वो दे गए, of course बंद हो गया तो they were all given to SpiceJet. Another asset उनकी होती है license value. You know that there is a big entry barrier to enter this industry. हर एक industry का exit और entry cost होता है और barriers होते हैं. So there is a great entry barrier to start this industry. तो उसकी license value is also an asset. जरूरी नहीं है कि हमारे सब एयरक्राफ्ट हमने खरीदे हो. So we might have leased also. So leasing these aircraft. So these are all types of assets. So now you will have got an idea कि apart from the balance sheet book, apart from the flight, बाकी सब क्या मेरे assets है? My employees, my airport slots, my personnel, my pilots, my license. These are all also the assets. These are the assets of the company. So now I'll come back. Yeah. So उस टाइम COC ने रिक्वेस्ट किया कि हमको वो अपने जो 700 slots है वो हमको वापस मिल जाए. NCLT grants more time to the aviation regulator to respond to airlines' request for slot, which is the DGCA, the aviation regulator. The DGCA and the civil ministry refused to give them an assurance of slot in an affidavit which is submitted to NCLT. Ministry communicates to NCLT that Jet Airways, even having a very good history, they will not be able to qualify for the grant of slots. What is the Jet Airways revival plan? As I mentioned, that every company has to give the revival plan. They have to say that how they are going to revive this company, and the Kalrock consortium said that our plan is to give 50 aircrafts in a span of 5 years. Even they said that we are planning to start the domestic operations first in the first quarter of 22, with an inflow of 1375 crores for revival. So you must ask कि ये 2022 में चालू होने वाला था, कार्लरोप ने इसको खरीद लिया. They are going to give 1375 crores for revival. So what happened? And this is the latest thing of the currently the 2022 reflection, why it didn't touch the sky and we are not able to still see the Jet Airways. There was a conflict with the employees. Now, what is the conflict? The employees, the Jet, जब उन्होंने claim file किए थे, आपने देखा कि huge disparity थी. 24,000 crores के claim file हुए थे और admit हुए थे 8,400. यानी बाकी के amount, बाकी के 16,000 crore were not admitted. So what has happened is the Jet employees unions and associations, they filed an appeal against the NCLT, against the RP. Why? ये claim किसने sanction किए थे? From 24,000 to 8,400, it was the RP. And RP gave huge haircuts to the PF amount, to the gratuity amount of this workmen and employees. ये कौन सी category में आएंगे? Operational creditors, right? Sorry. So, just a second. Yeah. So this 24,000 to 84,000, the cut was given by RP because they didn't admit it. And what was done by RP is they applied huge haircuts to the PF and gratuity amount which was submitted by workmen and employees, right? They didn't admitted the full amount. So ये लोग कहाँ गए? The employee unions. मुझे अगर कोई NCLT का order से I'm aggrieved, I should go to the higher authority. So उनका जो union था, वो association, वो NCLAT में गया और उनको बोला कि देखो ये amount हमारे statutory dues cut कर दिए. We have performed for this company and how they can deduct the dues which are receivable to us. And the order given by NCLAT was the PF and the gratuity dues are the assets of the workmen and employees, and no employer can withhold them even if the provision is not made. So this was a great decision for the employees कि नहीं ये पैसा कट नहीं हो सकता, and the direction was given कि अभी जो भी उसको लेने वाला है, they have to first make payment to the employees for their PF and gratuity, and then only they will be able to start the company. And that's the latest thing for October 2022 कि अभी ये payment होगा इनके PF और gratuity amount का, उसके बाद ही they will be able to start the company. So this is the case of Jet Airways. Jet Airways 2, yes, when it will come, these are the challenges they will face. They had 4,000, they are left with 40 employees now. Their equity is washed off, खाली license value बची है. Aircraft जो leasing पे थे वो सब वापस लाना, it's a very difficult, expensive task. Prime slots अभी मिलेंगे नहीं, and without prime slots you will not be able to break even. और जो brand value हुई, customers will also have slowly and gradually the loyalty which they were enjoying, वो भी धीरे धीरे उनको मिलेगी. So these are the challenges which the Jet Airways 2 will have. Now, in last 10 minutes, COC के बारे में, I'm sure you must have enjoyed the case study of Jet Airways and how the concepts are must have been cleared in the case study. And now the last thing I will take is COC के बारे में मैंने already आपको बता दिया, but still I'll just go through. COC कब बनती है? पहले महीने में, because decision तो पहले से ही लेने पड़ेंगे. So the IRP after receiving all the claims, मुझे कैसे पता चलेगा कि ये कंपनी के sorry, ये कंपनी के creditors कौन है? I will be able to only know once I know the claims. So in the first month I receive the claims, फिर claims में मैं divide करूँगी कि कौन operational है, कौन financial है. Again in financial, with the amount I will give the percentage. For example, 100 rupees है, and there are 5 financial creditors with a weightage of 20, right? So with that 100% I will give according to the amount unke percentage honge, and then and then I will constitute a COC. Just a second. Yeah, sorry. So what will happen is, claims aane ke baad, I'll study the claims, I'll find out the financial creditors, and with their again financial creditors का जो amount है उस हिसाब से उनका परसेंटेज निकलेगा, and वो परसेंटेज विल बी देयर वोटिंग राइट्स. यानी सीओसी में किसी का 20 हो सकता है, किसी का 50 हो सकता है, किसी का 10 हो सकता है. सो वोटिंग राइट्स, हर एक डिसीजन में हमें वोट करना पड़ता है, एंड ऑफ कोर्स एज इट विद द डिपेंडिंग अपॉन हर एक डिसीजन में कितना मुझे वोटिंग चाहिए उस हिसाब से डिसीजन डिसाइड होंगे. सो द फाइनेंशियल creditors constitute a COC. These are the voting rights. The next speaker will take more about it. And OC का क्या होगा? OC will not be able to take part in the working of the company. Financial creditors ही सब decide करेंगे, and they along with the insolvency professional will be taking care of the company. Who are insolvency professional? हमने आपको जैसे बताया, chartered accountants, company secretary, and the cost accountant. They can be insolvency professional. हमें क्या करना पड़ेगा? हमें एक एग्जाम देनी पड़ती है जो IBBI कंडक्ट करती है, and as a chartered accountant, just a second, I need to take water and rest for a while. Just a second. Yeah. Last 3-4 slides to go. So CA, CS, ICW, ये सब insolvency professional बन सकते हैं. The eligibility criteria is they need to have 10 years of experience. After having that experience, they have to give this exam, which is conducted by IBC. And once they clear the exam, they will get a certificate with this, and they will be called as insolvency professional. And since IBBI is a regulatory body for the insolvency, who will be the body who will be taking care of the working of the insolvency profession? We have these IPAs. Again, we have ICI, ICSI, and ICW. They have their own. They all are insolvency professional agency which takes care of के insolvency professionals कैसे काम करेंगे. So this is how IPs and IPAs work. One can look at this slide. Okay, अभी तक कितने cases admit हुए हैं? You can see कितने cases FCs के admit हुए हैं, कितने cases OCs के हैं, and कितने corporate debtor के हैं. FC is section 7, OC is section 9, and section 10 is the CD. Can anybody write their observations in the chat box? Right from 2016 से लेके 2019, I have not taken the COVID period, how the scenario has changed. You can see the number of cases increasing overall, number one. Number two, how operational creditors are taking advantage of the IBC. उनके भी आप देख रहे हो कितने cases चल रहे हैं. How with the period, with each year, the operational creditors are taking advantage of the code. And of course, corporate data would be very less as compared to the FCs and OCs. So these are the admission cases. And the last thing I would like to take is the professional opportunities. क्या है as a chartered accountant? Even if you are not a chartered accountant, still you can contribute in this field. How you can contribute, you can see I have written the different, how in the area of accounting and audit, if it is taxation related, if it is advisory, how, and as others. In a very brief, I can say अकाउंटिंग एंड ऑडिट जैसे हम रूटीन में करते हैं, आप यही इसमें भी फॉरेंसिक ऑडिट होता है. बाय फॉरेंसिक ऑडिट वी मीन इन्वेस्टिगेशन ऑडिट. अपार्ट फ्रॉम रूटीन ऑडिट, इसमें भी ऑडिट होता है. इट इज कॉल्ड इन्वेस्टिगेशन, वेयर वी इन्वेस्टिगेट द ट्रांजैक्शंस ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ लास्ट 2 years, लास्ट 3 years, वेदर कोई ट्रांजैक्शन अंडर वैल्यूड हुआ है, ओवर वैल्यूड हुआ है, किसी को प्रेफरेंस दिया गया है. सो इट इज फॉरेंसिक ऑडिट विच इज द न्यू स्कोप apart from the routine audit under this field. Taxation, yes, depending upon cross-border insolvency is also started. So there is scope for transfer pricing, international taxation, share valuation. अगर कोई अपील पड़ी है कंपनी की इनकम टैक्स रिलेटेड, जीएसटी रिलेटेड, so there also you can contribute. Advisory, yes, there are many advisories. आप IBC की consultancy दे सकते हो. There is another development which has taken place in the last year. दैट इवन आपको एनसीएलटी नहीं करना और उससे पहले अगर आप खुद कोई बायर लेके आते हो विच इज कॉल्ड प्री पैक इंसॉल्वेंसी, तो आप उसको बना के एनसीएलटी में अप्रूवल के लिए भी जा सकते हो. सो देयर यू कैन कंट्रीब्यूट इन कॉर्पोरेट स्ट्रक्चरिंग, फंड रेजिंग. जब कोई गोइंग कंसर्न कंपनी इंसॉल्वेंसी में जाती है तो वी नीड फंड्स टू रन द कंपनी, राइट? सो देयर इज एन अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ फंड रेजिंग एज वेल. ट्रांजैक्शन एडवाइजरी, valuation, मैंने आपको बताया कि there are 3 types of valuation we need to do under IBC. So valuation is also there. Others is you can others is companies in corporation, directorship, secretarial work. इसके अंदर जैसे कई बार कंपनीज के बहुत कुछ चीजें कंपनीज ने नहीं की होती, ऑडिट नहीं किया होता, अकाउंट्स नहीं लिखे होते, आरओसी के कंप्लायंस नहीं किए होते, तो वो सब आरपीस करते. तो आरपीस को सब स्टेक होल्डर्स की, आरपीस को सब टाइप का वर्क आउटसोर्स करना पड़ता है. तो वो ये सब अदर्स पार्टीज को दे सकते हैं. इंश्योरेंस का कोई काम हो, बैक ऑफिस का काम. इनफैक्ट जब गोइंग कंसर्न आती है तो इतना काम आरपीस को पड़ता है कि दे कंपल्सरीली नीड अदर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस और अदर सपोर्ट सर्विसेज के लिए जाना ही पड़ता है. What are the opportunities for chartered accountant? आप इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल बन सकते हो. अगर आप इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल नहीं हो तो आप ऑथोराइज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव. ऑथोराइज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स यानी अगर एफसीज नहीं आते, अगर कोई एफसी को मुझे नहीं जाना मीटिंग में, तो दे कैन अपॉइंट अस एज ऑथोराइज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स. वी कैन बी अ लिक्विडेटर, we can be an administrator, we can also be a simple chartered accountant giving other services just as we do in the normal organization. We are chartered accountants can plead in NCLT, NCLAT also on behalf of FCs, OCs, CDs, home matters. हम petition भी file कर सकते हैं, हम IRP भी रह सकते हैं. So we have been given right then that we can plead in NCLT and NCLAT. So chartered accountant can do that. Other services which we can do as a chartered accountant, as an RP, is verification of claims. हर एक stage पे finance arrange कर सकते हैं, forensic कर सकते हैं. जो ये रिजोल्यूशन प्लान बनता है तो उसमें भी हम हेल्प कर सकते हैं. ड्यू डिलीजेंस, मैंने आपको बताया सेक्शन 29 में कि आप खुद की कंपनीज ले सकते हैं, तो उसका ड्यू डिलीजेंस कर सकते हो. आप कंपनी मैनेज कर सकते हो, आप कंपनी का सेक्रेटरियल वर्क ले सकते हो. ऑडिट की जरूरत है, आप ऑडिट कर सकते हो. आप ई ऑक्शन जो होते हैं, जब एसेट्स हम बेचते हैं, ये सब जगह पे आप कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकते हो. तो वेरी वेरी ह्यूज अपॉर्चुनिटी. एंड विद अभी तो खाली ये CIRP का है, जब इंडिविजुअल और पार्टनरशिप का भी चालू होगा तो आई थिंक स्काई वुड बी द लिमिट. सो ह्यूज अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू. एंड आई एम श्योर I end my session here. I'm sure you would have understood the genesis of IBC, and it would have been a great learning experience for all of you. And with this, I end my session here. I would be glad if you have any questions. I would be glad to take it.
Thank you, Anjali ma'am. Now I would like to invite our next speaker for the day, CA Suneet Shahji, who is a fellow member of the Institute, and he is qualified chartered insolvency professional since the year 2017, and he has qualified diploma in information systems audit and has completed certification course on forensic audit and fraud detection also, which is conducted by ICAI. He is presently serving as a managing committee member in Ahmedabad branch of WIC of ICAI. He's a certified independent director at Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, that is IICA MCA. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Smitaji. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, definitely you are audible, sir.
Yes. Okay, students, thank you, Anjali ma'am, for such a lovely deliberation. You have given a stage for me to start with the process. You have already done with the history and how this IBC has evolved till date. And students, I will be glad to share with you the entire process of IBC. Now, whenever I'll be taking, I do take sessions, and in all cases, I just mentioned that we cover the entire IBC process in rather 2 hours. 2 to 2.5 hours is the process time that we take to complete the entire CIP process. I think so. CIP process, the insolvency law is also included in the curriculum of CA finals. So the process that we'll be going through will help you out even in the academics in the examination, from the examination point of view. I'll be starting with the session. I'll be sharing the screen right now. A few of my starting slides do include the overview, do include the history even, so far as the IBC is concerned. But as history is already been taken by Anjali ma'am, so we'll be skipping off those slides and all the laws that were prevalent before IBC came into the being. So it was all about the SURFICE Act, RDDB Act, and all presidential law that has been discussed by Anjali ma'am. So that will be skipped. I'll be directly going to the process, how this IBC will start, how the process will take over by the insolvency professional and the committee of creditor. Okay, just adding few lines to the history of this IBC, why this IBC was introduced and what was the main objective. So when the Modi government took over, the main objective of introducing IBC in India was to, one of the case of ease of doing business in India. Ease of doing business in India is very much promulgated by our Prime Minister of India. So Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code is one of the tool where ease of doing business process can be done. How this ease of business process will be provided, we'll be discussing in the next slides. Objectives of the IBC code is already been discussed. Still, I would say it will lead to the clear and speedy process and the early identification of the all the distress that is happening in the corporate structure. The main thing will be about all the stakeholders will be given a fair treatment so far as the distribution of the proceeds that are concerned, and how this institutional framework is working is also discussed. It's Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board, there are insolvency professionals, there is insolvency professional agencies, adjudicating authority, that is NCLT, National Company Law Tribunal, and the information utilities from where we get the desired information, where IP and the committee of creditors can get the desired information of the corporate data. The corporate data, whenever I use this terminology, corporate data means the company which is undergoing insolvency resolution process. Why and how it happens, again, that has been discussed: liquidity problem, delay in operation, delay in payments, disruption in operation, and ultimately leading to the operational loss and erosion of the net worth of the company. So all these stages takes over before the insolvency against any of the corporate debtor can start.
Sir, sorry to interrupt in between, but your screen is static. Actually, the slides are not moving on screen.
Just a second.
Yeah, now it is visible. It's the benefit slide.
Yeah, correct. Just a second. Now it's visible.
Sir, it's yeah, it's visible now.
Okay, visible now.
Yes, sir, it's clear now.
Okay, so these are the brief benefits of insolvency again that is discussed. So we'll be skipping this slide again. Okay, we start with the process, how to and to whom these IBC provisions will be applicable. So these provisions will be applicable to any company incorporated under the Companies Act 2013 and any LLP incorporated under the LLP Act 2008. So what will be they will be not be the petitioner, but they will be the corporate debtor on whom the insolvency proceedings can be initiated. By whom insolvency proceeding can be initiated is not just by companies or NLP. The initiation of insolvency proceedings against any of these like companies and the LLP can be done by any individual also, or by the firms, or by the companies, or by the LLPs. So these are the two, although the insolvencies on the individuals and the firm or partnership firms have already been enacted in the law, but not yet notified. So once they will be notified, even the insolvency against the personal individual persons and the firms or the all the partnership firms that will start with. So right as of now, what we see is any company or LLP are only two persons on whom insolvency proceedings can be initiated in case of a default. This is again history, how it started from 1st of December 2016, and last several amendments have come up. The major amendment that came up in March 2020 when COVID took over, from where the limit of the default has already been discussed in the last session. The limit of default has been increased from rupees 1 lakh to rupees 1 crore. That was the severe impact of COVID that has taken over all the corporates, where all the mid-sized companies were facing so much of liquidity issue that government came up with the amendment in section 4 of the IBC Act, where they increased the default amount from rupees 1 lakh to rupees 1 crore. So अब अगर 1 करोड़ के नीचे का अगर डिफॉल्ट है तो a person cannot initiate any insolvency proceeding against the corporate debtor, that is the companies and the LLP. Okay, so we go through admission of insolvency of corporate debtor and the demand notice. So how we will create this entire session, I will create a simulation kind of a thing where we will have this imaginary situations where this company is going into insolvency, how this insolvency professionals have been appointed, and how the insolvency professional along with the committee of creditors takes over run the entire insolvency process. Okay, so we start with the default cases. For example, company ABC Limited is having a default. That company is feeling a stress due to so many corporate issues or so many technical issues or the labor issues that company is facing, due to which the company is unable to pay the dues. If the company is unable to pay the dues exceeding rupees 1 crore, and if that company is not able to pay me, for example, I have given an amount of rupees 5 crores loan to the company ABC Limited, where I kept on reminding them, please pay my dues, but the company ABC Limited is not able to pay the dues of rupees 1 crore. In that case, because its minimum threshold is 1 crore, and that company owes to me rupees 5 crore. So what I will do is, I will appoint a lawyer, or all by myself, I will just file an application, make an application and file an application with the NCLT, that is the adjudicating authority for the entire IBC purpose. NCLT, which NCLT I will file the application is the NCLT, the jurisdiction of the NCLT will be the place where the corporate debtors registered office is situated. For example, ABC Limited is situated, or its registered office is at Mumbai. So in any case, if it is situated at Mumbai, I also being from Ahmedabad or from Jaipur, I'll have to file an application against this company for initiation of insolvency against this company with the Mumbai NCLT, because the company's registered office is situated at Maharashtra. So that will be the jurisdiction in any case where NCL, the registered office of the company is situated. I will just go to approach that NCLT and file an application that this company is unable to pay the dues to me. Who can initiate a insolvency and bankruptcy code is also discussed, like financial creditor, the operational creditor, and the corporate applicant himself. I would say there are only few. As a student, I think so. The law is very big, and the law is also complicated, as all laws are in India. But in any case, to simplify this law, and as a student, you need to understand or remember these few 5 sections of this law, which will help you in all the academic sessions or in all the academic examination that you will be giving up in the times to come. First is Section 7, Section 7, Section 9, Section 10, Section 14, Section 17, and Section 53 of the IBC code. These are the, you may note down these sections. In detailing, I'll be explaining all the section. Section 7 is about the financial creditor. As discussed, financial creditors means an applicant has to be the person to whom the amount from the company is due in actual terms, in actual financial terms. Actual financial terms means मैंने अगर एक company को या banks ने, generally banks happen to be the financial creditor or the NBFC companies or the financial companies जिन्होंने companies को loan देके रखा हुआ है in actual money terms. So for example, say Bank of Baroda is giving a loan to the our company, that is ABC Limited, say amounting to rupees 10 crore. In that case, a company is unable to pay its dues, so a default occurs. Once the default occurs, the bankers like Bank of Baroda will approach NCLT for initiation of the insolvency proceedings against the ABC Limited. So in that case, Section 7, so Bank of Baroda will be called a financial creditor in any case. So Section 7 application, so if the application is initiated by a financial creditor like a banker, that's called a Section 7 application. So Section 7 application is the initiation by the bankers or the financial creditor against a corporate debtor. Second comes is the operational creditor. So an application can be filed by an operational creditor, that comes under Section 9. Section 9, where I, being a chartered accountant, I am providing services to a company ABC Limited, say for amounting to rupees 2 crore, and that company is unable to pay the dues to me on time. So again, I will keep on following up with that company, but against that, even if that company is reluctant to pay that amount to me, what I will do, I become operational creditor under Section 9 because I have provided services. Or in any case, if there is a trader, if that trader has provided goods to that corporate debtor, then in that case, that trader will also be called as an operational creditor. So Section 9 deals with the operational creditor. The application by the operational creditor can be done by the person or a trader who is providing goods and services to the corporate debtor. So Section 9 application can be done by operational creditor, and Section 10 application can be done by the corporate applicant himself. If corporate applicant or a debtor like company ABC Limited feels that I myself is not able to run the affairs of the company and I am in the huge losses, or I am facing stresses, or I don't have that liquidity which I'll be able to pay all the creditors of my company or to the bankers, I myself can approach NCLT. The jurisdiction of NCLT will remain the same where my registered office is situated. I will apply to the NCLT to initiate an insolvency proceeding against me, myself, the company itself. So Section 7, 9, and 10. So these three sections are the section where application against a corporate debtor can be initiated. So other than these section, no other person can initiate an insolvency proceeding against a corporate debtor, that is the company or the LLP. So these are the default cases. Only thing is that the initiation, the trigger of the insolvency process is a default. Default means the company has to, any person making an application to NCLT for initiation of insolvency, a default amounting to exceeding rupees 1 crore has to be established. if there is no default, if there is a dispute in a default, in that case the insolvency proceeding will not be admitted, and NCLT will not take the cognizance of this situation. There is one another case where there is a non-default case. In case the company's net worth is well established, the assets of the companies are exceeding the liabilities. So there is a positive net worth. In that case also, Section 59, which provides that the company itself can go to a voluntary liquidation. Why this company will go to a voluntary liquidation even though it is having a positive net worth will be because if there are several personal reasons that might happen, that promoters are shifting out of the country, the promoters don't want to run the business, there is no hierarchy of their sons or daughters who will be taking over this company. There are so many reasons that might be coming up. So in that case or any other reasons that a promoter feel like I although being having a positive net worth, I don't want to continue with this company, they can move to a voluntary liquidation. So voluntary liquidation will be a simple process. Going to NCLT, voluntary liquidation will be ordered, and in that case, all the assets of the companies will be sold over, and the proceeds will be distributed to the creditors of the company, or any of the liabilities that are pending, and the company will be winding. That will be called a voluntary liquidation. So now we have understood. This slide says that default cases, non-default. Default cases are much more important, wherein Section 7, 9 and 10 application can be triggered against ABC Limited in case of default is exceeding rupees 1 crore. So this is a chart as discussed. Who can invoke CIRP? CIRP will be again the terminology used in all the slides that are to follow. That means corporate insolvency resolution process. Financial creditor, operational creditor, and corporate debtor himself under Section 10. So Section 7, 9, out of the 5 to 6 sections that we are to discuss next, these are the 3 important sections that are that covers the main crux of the insolvency process. Section 7, financial creditor. Section 9 will be operational creditor, and Section 10, a company itself can go into a liquid insolvency process. This is the definition of a financial debt. Again, that definition of a financial debt is discussed, wherein actual due or default is occurred in the actual financial term, where I have not given goods or services to the corporate debtor, but I have given the actual sum or actual amount or loan to the corporate debtor. In that case, a financial creditor can come up, and in that case, if there is a debt in the company and which is occurring as a default, I will move to the NCLT to initiate a insolvency process. So that is the definition of a financial creditor. Operational creditor, again understood. So operational creditor will include all those creditors which are not financial creditors. Operational creditors will be the creditors who has given goods, services to the corporate debtor, will be called the operational creditors. They will also include the employees, wherein because employees have also given services to the corporate debtor, so employees will be considered as a operational creditor. Even the government dues or any other dues which are not falling under the category of the financial creditor will be falling under the operational creditor, wherein goods and services have been provided. In financial creditors, one thing more to be discussed, financial creditor will be composing of the secured creditors and the unsecured creditors. Unsecured creditors, as you all are aware, secured creditors where the security is taken by a financial creditor. Many times nowadays, NBFC companies are giving loans to the corporate debtor or any individual without taking any security. So unsecured loans are being imparted by the non-banking financial companies or any of the banks. So maybe the PSU banks or the private banks are giving loans to the company. They are having certain products, certain schemes wherein they are give the loans to the companies without taking a security. So in that case, such loans given without security will be called the financial credit. They will be considered as financial creditor, but they will be regarded as unsecured financial creditors. Okay, so now coming to the next stages, I being a company or a bank to whom amount is due from the corporate debtor, say ABC Limited. In that case, I have approached NCLT. I have filed an application with NCLT. What NCLT, the adjudicating authority, will do is they will give a right of being heard, which is a very important thing that is to be done in the law. Without giving an opportunity of being heard, no application can be accepted or rejected in any case. So NCLT will give a right of being heard to the corporate debtor also, that is ABC Limited. They will serve a notice to ABC Limited stating that you need to appear in the court, where you need to justify whether this insolvency or show cause why this insolvency cannot be initiated against the company. They will be given a chance to them even to settle the dues to the person whom dues are to whom they have a due. They will be given a chance to settle this due. If that settlement is not being done, in that case, the NCLT will make an admission of insolvency resolution CRP process against the corporate debtor, that is ABC Limited. Once the corporate insolvency resolution process is triggered or is initiated, the insolvency professional will be appointed. Insolvency professional may be a chartered accountant or the cost accountant as discussed, or the CS or a lawyer who can become an insolvency professional. In that case, the financial creditor, while making an application, will propose the name of an insolvency professional in the application. So the moment this insolvency is triggered, the insolvency professional will be appointed in that, will be deemed to be appointed in that case, which was proposed during filing an application. So IRP, the insolvency resolution process professional, will be given a copy of the order that this insolvency process has been initiated against the against this corporate debtor, and you need to take over the affairs of the company. Once I, being an insolvency professional, when I get to know about this order, what I will do is I will immediately within 3 days give a public announcement in the leading newspapers, 2 newspapers of the place where the operations of the corporate debtor or the defaulter is situated. So if a company का इंसॉल्वेंसी रिजोल्यूशन प्रोसेस जो है वो अहमदाबाद में स्टार्ट हो गया है, तो और उसके ऑपरेशंस अहमदाबाद में थे, तो आई बीइंग एन इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल विल give a public announcement in 2 newspapers, which is required by law. So law states that newspaper advertisement should be published in 2 newspapers, one in English newspaper and the other one will be the vernacular language. So if that insolvency has been initiated in Ahmedabad, so in Gujarat, so vernacular language of Gujarat is Gujarati. So one in Gujarati newspaper and one in English newspaper, where I will have to give a public announcement stating that the insolvency process of ABC Limited has been started, and those who are having dues from this company, maybe the operational creditors or the financial creditors or bankers or NBFC or whomsoever, they or the employees, they have to file a claim in a prescribed form to the insolvency board. So all this public announcement will be made public by circulating these messages wherever required on the IBBI website, that is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code website, even on the Insolvency Professional Agency website, and in the newspaper. So once people will come to know about that insolvency process has been started, all the creditors will file a claim in the prescribed format to the insolvency, but they will file a claim with me stating that I have such a claim with the company. Maybe I company owes to me, say 10 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 1 crore, 5 crore, whatever be the amount, they'll be filing a claim with the company. I will verify the claim and I will collect those claims, and on the basis of the data that is made available to me, like balance sheets of the corporate debtors or any of the data that is available on the information utility, from that case basis, I will verify the claim and admit that claim. Or maybe I may also reject the claim stating that your claim is not as per the balance sheet provided to us. So they will provide a justification, and finally I'll be admitting the claim of the creditors. After that, those claims which have come to me, I will just collect the claims and I will bifurcate them among the financial creditors and the operational creditors. So financial creditors will be the claim as discussed, where money is due. So those financial creditors will be sorted out and other operational creditors will be sorted out. And from that financial creditor, the list of financial creditor, I will form a committee of creditors. The COC or the committee of creditors which was discussed so many times in last session, I would say that committee of creditors at this stage is being formulated when the entire claims have been accumulated and have been received by me. So financial creditors, I will formulate a claim sheet and I will make them as a part of the committee of creditors. So 5 agar banker say Bank of Baroda, Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, Kotak Bank, whatsoever claims that I have received, or any of the individuals or the companies from whom financial claims have been received, I will make a committee of creditors of those financial creditors. So once that committee is constituted, although the operational creditors के जो भी claim आए हैं उनको मैं admit तो कर लूंगा, stating that yes they have a claim in the company, but they will not form part of the committee of creditors, so because operational creditors as per law do not form part of the committee of creditors. After that, I will just start with the process of calling the committee meeting. I will before I have 1 month time, the first 1 month I will have to collate these claims. I will form a committee of creditors, and in that process, I will also have to take over the charge of the entire company. So this is very much important. I will take the charge of the entire company. That means I will take charge of the assets of the company. I will take charge of the bank balances of the company. So for example, say on the date when this corporate insolvency resolution process has been admitted, and on that case, on that day, say ABC Limited के बैंक में 5 करोड़ का बैलेंस पड़ा था, right? So 5 करोड़ का बैलेंस जो पड़ा था, that was being used by the directors of the company for their company के from day to day process के लिए उसको use कर रहे थे, and by whose signature? The signatures were done by the directors of the company. Believe me, from that day onwards, from the date of the order, the director's signature will not be valid in those checkbooks. Those are available, or those checkbooks which are used for the company's processes. The directors are out of this company. The entire promoters are out of this company. They will just sit in the side of this company and they will just watch the process that is being carried out by the insolvency professional and the committee of creditors. So this will be the case. That is, so what I will do is, say ABC Limited situated in Ahmedabad and having offices in Mumbai, or having assets in Mumbai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Kolkata, wherever. So I will take a list of those assets. I will visit those places. I will put a letter stating वो offices के बाहर मेरा letter लग जाएगा कि ये asset अब insolvency professional के charge में है, and no one is allowed to take charge of this asset. No one is allowed to go inside this office without the express permission of the insolvency professional. So this will be done. I will take charge of the entire bank account. I will write letters to all the bankers stating that the insolvency resolution process has been started, and I will request bank not to have any debit in the account without the express permission of the insolvency professional, or if any of the checks are being issued by the directors, say which were older checks, they will not be debited in the account, and bankers will be strictly obeying or strictly following this instruction of the insolvency professional. So from that date, even the machineries, the land and building, the plant and machineries, or any of the stock of the company, or any of the things that means एक दिन जिस दिन से इंसॉल्वेंसी कमेंसमेंट होती है उस दिन से द एंटायर ऑपरेशन और एंटायर कंपनी रेस्ट विद द लाइक आज से आपको इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल को आज से ही आज पूरा कंपनी का चार्ज दे दिया. सो इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल विल बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर ईच एंड एवरीथिंग दैट इज हैपनिंग इन द कंपनी पोस्ट दिस ऑर्डर इज बीइंग डन. So all these things will be done. I will be formulating a committee of creditors, and I will start with the meetings with the committee. I regularly call the meetings of the committee of creditors where financial creditors have joined, or where the list of financial creditors have been made who are forming part of the committee of creditors. So उसके बाद जो भी decisions लेने हैं वो सारे decisions committee of creditors और insolvency professional साथ में मिल के लेंगे. Operational creditors will not be allowed to join any of the meetings of the committee of the creditors that are being held, although their claims have been admitted, but they will not be allowed to join any of the meeting for the discussion purpose. However, if their claims is exceeding 10% of the entire claims that have been received by the insolvency professional, in that case, say 500 operation creditors के claim आए हैं, पर in that case what we will do is कि अगर 10% से ज्यादा claim amount पूरे total claim amount से बढ़ जाता है operation creditors का, in that case we will अपॉइंट अ रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ द ऑपरेशनल क्रेडिटर्स. सारे 500 ऑपरेशनल क्रेडिटर्स का एक ऑपरेशनल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव होगा, हु विल बी अलाउड टू ज्वाइन द मीटिंग, हु विल बी अलाउड टू नो द प्रोसेस ऑफ द इंसॉल्वेंसी दैट इज हैपनिंग बिटवीन द इंसॉल्वेंसी रिजोल्यूशन प्रोफेशनल एंड द committee of creditor. But he will not be allowed to speak up anything in the meetings that are being held. He will not be allowed to take any of the decision or interfere with the decision of the insolvency professional or the committee of the creditor. So these are the things that will be done by the insolvency professional in the first month once this insolvency is being admitted. There are a few more things that have been mentioned in the slide is about the information memorandum, EOI, and the proposed resolution plan. So in that case, we will be going through in some next slides. So this is a chart that we have made of the process that will be routed by the insolvency professional once the insolvency has been admitted by NCLT. First is the public announcement that has been mentioned. Public announcement will be done in 2 newspapers, one in English and in the vernacular language. For example, the insolvency has been admitted of a company in Hyderabad. So in that case, one advertisement in English newspaper and other advertisement in Telugu language. So that will be done in case the company is situated in Hyderabad. So accordingly, public announcement will be done. What public announcement is? Public announcement is stating that this company has gone into the insolvency. It is being issued by the insolvency professional, and whosoever are having the claims against this company, just come over to the insolvency professional and file your claims. Secondly, I said that while this process is being done, once the public announcement has been done, within 14 days, the creditors have to file the claims with the insolvency professional. So this 1 month period that the insolvency professional is having, what he will be doing during this 1 month is also being discussed. However, we'll go in detail is the next thing, point is about the intimation to various authorities. Who will be the authority? So like bankers, I will intimate all the bankers where the accounts of the company was held. I will write letters to all the bankers stating that insolvency process has been started against this company, where this company holds account in your bank. So I request you not to have any debits in this account without further intimation by the insolvency professional or by me. Second will be, I will intimate to the registrar of company, the registrar of the company where this company was incorporated. Say if it was in Gujarat state, I will write a letter to the ROC Gujarat, or in Mumbai, or wherever the company is situated. So I will intimate to ROC stating that insolvency has been started. I will also intimate to various departments where these taxes were applicable to the corporate debtor, like income tax department, the GST department, or whatsoever, the PF department, wherever these departments are, the government department, I will intimate to each and every person that this insolvency process has been started. Also, if the company was listed company during the time, in that case, I will intimate even to the BSC, the NSC, where this company was listed, also to the NSDL or the CDSL, where this depository was applicable to this company. So all the authorities where I can think of, or whatever authorities I am able to explore from the documents that are being made available to me by the directors or by the promoters of the company, I will just intimate them to all the authorities. As I discussed, again, the next point is about the taking charge of the assets of the corporate debtor. All the assets of the company that are appearing in the balance sheet of the company as on insolvency commencement date, I will take charge of the entire assets of the corporate debtor, and no assets will be allowed to be used by any of the person except with with the express permission of the insolvency professional coupled with committee of creditors. Say company's balance sheet is having cars in their balance sheet. Say they might be having so many vehicles in the company's balance sheet. Even the cars of the or not of the directors, but the cars that were displayed in the balance sheet of the company, insolvency professional will even take charge of the cars of the company and will take and keep the cars with him, and may be allowed to be used by the director or some any other purpose with the express permission. Otherwise, they will not be allowed to use the cars of the company even. So these are the huge impacts that are coming up. When we will be progressing the next slide, you will see what are the huge impacts of the insolvency processes coming up. So even the assets, the bank balance, the operations of the company, the plant and machinery, land building, the entire entire assets of the companies will be taken over by the insolvency professional, and promoters and directors will be out of this company. The next thing is about the receipt and the verification of the claims. So this is discussed. I will verify all the claims along with the available data or with the information utility, and then I will state them that your claim is acceptable or not acceptable, or if there are any discrepancies in the claim, that will be sorted, and then claims will be accepted. Constitution of committee of creditors, again discussed. All the financial creditors will form part of the committee of the creditor, and holding of the first meeting of the committee of creditors. The first meeting of the committee of creditors is very much important because it has been prescribed by law, and it has certain timelines which insolvency professional has to go through, wherein holding of the first meeting of the committee of creditors is important. It has to be done within 30 days of the insolvency commencement date. From the date of the order to 30 days, we have to do the entire process which has been mentioned on this slide, and then we will hold the first meeting of the committee of creditors. However, holding the further meetings of the committee of creditors, there has been no deadline or nothing that is being prescribed in the law. Anyway, if insolvency professional or the committee of creditors is willing, they can hold meeting within, say, a day, 2 days, 7 days, or after a month also, as and when the situation warrants. This is the process of the public announcement. This is again a sheer academical part. Regulation 6 and Form A that is being prescribed. Regulation 6 prescribe how the public announcement is to be made, and when it's to be made, what will be the contents of the public announcement is being regulated by Regulation 6. Form A, so for academic purpose, for examination purpose also, you can know that Form A is prescribed for public announcement, where, as I said, the entire details which are in the slide have to be stated in the public announcement for inviting of the claims. Once this public announcement is done, insolvency professional will upload this public announcement in IBBI and the insolvency professional agency's website also. Also, yes, even one more thing to add is if the company which is undergoing insolvency, and if I'm taking charge of the assets of the company, in that case, if that company is having a website, so we need to search that if that company is having a website, even on that website also, I will publish this information or intimate to the public at large on the company's website itself that that's public, the insolvency process has been started against this company, and these are the claims that have been received. So this will be again going on a public domain where the entire insolvency process will be submitted and will be displayed on the website of the company also. Again, a flowchart, kind of a graphical description of where to intimate or which authorities are to be intimated. So this will be income tax, GST, the ROC, SEBI, NSDL, CDSL, and any other regulatory. So any other regulatory authority which we have discovered while observing or while scrutinizing the documents or the balance sheets of the company or any other data that is available to us, if we come across any of the data like this company was a factory, it was registered with the Pollution Control Board, it is also governed by the Factories Act, or if it is governed by PF or ESI or whatsoever, wherever we find those documents wherein we find that company was governed by such other acts rather than the income tax, GST, ROC, we will have to intimate those authorities as well of the initiation of the insolvency resolution process. Receipts of the claim, section 13. Although section number is not so important, I said only 5 to 7 section you as a student should remember, so that the things will be clear how this insolvency process is being run. This is the receipt of the claim and how the process of the post receipt of the claim will be done. That is also being discussed. Like once the claims are received, the verification, the vetting of the claims, the collation of the claims will be done, and on that basis, the committee of creditors will be formed. So these are the list of creditors. So all the list of creditors which have been finalized on the basis of the claims that have been received will be on a public domain. So everyone can view that their claim have been verified and admitted or not. Say for an example, an individual or any of the person who has provided goods or services, say amounting to rupees 1 lakh, and he has submitted a claim. So how he will be able to know that his claim has been admitted or not? Every time a communication between an insolvency professional and the creditor cannot be done. So insolvency professional will upload this list of claims on the websites of the company or on the IBBI or wherever applicable. In that case, that creditor can log into that website, go to that website and see whether his claim has been admitted or not. In case that claim has not been admitted, he can come back to insolvency professional stating that why his claim has not been admitted, and the discussions can be done. And if there are any discrepancies, that can be sorted out. And then again, a fresh list of claimants or the creditors can be uploaded on the website or any other public domains. Verification of claims might be having so many complications because there might be the cases where a company is going into an insolvency. So naturally, there are far better chances where the books of the company or the books of the corporate data has not been updated, right? So what happens is that once the insolvency professional takes over the entire accounts, the entire tally data or whatever be the case, all the document, at that case, he can come to know, he may find that the books of the accounts have not been updated. So एक क्रेडिटर ऐसा है कि जिसका बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स में, जिसका बैलेंस शीट में क्लेम दिख रहा है, से 5 lakhs rupees was due to this claimant or this creditor. What happens is that when that creditor is filing a claim on the basis of the public announcement, there might be cases where he files a claim of rupees, say 6 lakhs or 7 lakhs or 10 lakhs. So a discrepancy arises between the books of accounts and the claim amount that has been submitted by the claimant or the creditor. In that case, why this might arise, though, as I said, one thing is that because the books of accounts might not be updated by the corporate data lastly when it was going into the insolvency process, or there might be the interest portion that was not debited credited to the accounts, or there might be the cases where assignment of debt was done but which was not intimated to the corporate data. There might be the cases where reconciliation has not been done. There might be the cases where there was a dispute between the corporate debtor and the creditor, in which case the difference in the amounts of the claim received and the difference in the claim that is appearing in the books of the accounts, that is balance sheet of the corporate debtor, might appear. In that case, the discussion will have to be done between the creditors and the insolvency professional, and a consensus will have to be reached at where it will be decided that yes, not 4 lakhs or not 7 lakhs or not 6 lakhs, 5 lakhs 20,000 is the final claim amount that is being that was being justified by the operational creditor and by the amount that is appearing in the books of account. So there, after arriving at a consensus, that final claim will be accepted and he will form part of the committee of creditors if he is a financial creditor. If he is not a financial creditor, in that case, they will allow. In that case, they will be operational creditor, wherein the claim will be accepted. First committee of creditors will have to be formed, that is being discussed, like collation of the claims. After collation of the claims, after deciding what will be the final amount of the claims of the operational creditors, financial creditors, operational creditor will be sorted, will be bifurcated, and on the basis of the list that is being finalized for the operational creditors, the financial creditors, the list of the committee of creditors who will form part of the committee of creditors will be identified, decided, and finalized. On that basis, that list of committee of creditors that have been finalized will be intimated to them, and also that list of committee of creditors will be intimated to the NCLT, that is National Company Law Tribunal, that is adjudicating authority, wherein they will be intimated that this is the final list of committee of creditors that have been decided, and the further COC meeting will be held, taking those members into the committee of creditors. How meetings will be held? So COC members may meet in person, means physical meetings can be done, or through a virtual conferences also, or a video conferencing also. Before COVID, all the COC meetings were done physically in any case, wherein we were also handling assignments since 2017. So 2017 to 2020 March, 20 March, when the COC meeting, all the COC meetings that were held physically, say in any city of this country. But post-COVID has given us new dimensions, and it was being approved by the law, wherein all the video conferencing that is done by the committee of creditors and the insolvency professional will be considered as a valid meeting as per the law, and provided that meeting or that meeting that is being held by video conferencing has to be a recorded one. So all the meetings that will be done will have to be recorded on a media, and will have to be preserved, that in case some indifferences amongst the discussions that were being held between the IP and the committee of creditors is sometimes coming out, in that case the video recording that is being done of the committee of creditors will help out. RP, that is resolution professional or the insolvency professional, will serve notice to all the financial creditors. So how meetings of the committee of creditors will be held is, a notice will be served to all the financial creditor or the representative of an operational creditor, if operational creditor is selected for being for being a part of this meeting, or all the bankers and all the creditors, like whosoever are forming part and who are legally valid persons to participate in the meeting, or also the directors. Yes, so directors, the promoters, the directors of the company who are out of this company, but though when the meetings are being held, the directors will form part of the such meetings that are being discussed. So it's not like that they will not be made aware of all the processes that are being done, but they will be also invited to the meeting, and they have to attend this meeting where the insolvency COC meetings are being held. Although directors of the company and the promoters of the company will not be allowed to say anything, or will not form part of taking any decisions in the committee of creditors, but they will form part of these meetings. So a notice, a valid notice, a 5 days notice has to be issued to the all the participants of the meeting, and post that if they allow in the next meeting that 2 days notice, creditors बोलेंगे कि नहीं हमको 2 दिन का notice दोगे फिर भी हम meeting attend करेंगे, so in that case post that once it is approved, 2 days notice can also be given by an insolvency professional. But before that, the first meeting has to take place and the notice has to be served 5 days before the date of the meeting. So resolution professional or the insolvency professional holding the first meeting of the committee of the insolvency professional has to be present. He cannot appoint a representative on whose behalf insolvency COC meeting will be held. Insolvency professional has to be present. Financial creditors or the promoters or the suspended directors of the board who also are to attend the meeting, they can appoint any representative on their behalf to attend such committee of creditors meeting. As discussed, first meeting of the committee of creditors has to take place within 30 days of the insolvency commencement date. In any case, this meeting cannot be held after 30 days of the first after the insolvency commencement date. In that case, it will be a violation of the sections of the law. So after that, as discussed, after that, all the meetings that are to take place that can be taken, there is no frequency specified by the law. Whenever or wherever required, this meeting of committee of creditors can take place. Okay, so before that, going on to next section, I would say that we have already discussed, as I said, 5 to 6 section we need to be very thorough with to understand this insolvency and bankruptcy code. One is section 7. I will keep on repeating so that you just have it in your mind and you are done with all the sections, so that you can remember those sections so easily and the process very easily that you can apply it in your academics part or in the examinations part. First is section 7. Section 7 is financial creditor making an application. Section 9, operational creditor making an application. Section 10, corporate debtor himself making an application to admit to go for the insolvency. So section 7, 9 and 10 are done. Who will be and what kind of insolvencies will be taking place against a corporate debtor. Now, I don't have that slide right now, but other section, that is section 14 of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, which is already been discussed in the brief that was discussed as I was listening to it, the last session about the moratorium. The moratorium, so I want you to be very specific with the section number, that is section 14 of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, state that there has to be a moratorium. As discussed, moratorium means all the cases against the company which were going on before initiation of the insolvency resolution process will come to a hold, will come to a stop. Virtually completely it will come to a stop. Say income tax की demands थी वो company के सामने last 3 साल से 4 crore, 5 crore, 10 crore, whatever be the demands that were going on against this company, or any of the sales tax or the GST litigations or any litigations that are going on against this company. कुछ cases हुए हैं company के सामने या company ने कर रखे हैं कोई individuals या कोई companies के सामने. In that case, section 14 states that there will be a complete moratorium. Why this moratorium is made applicable, or why this section of moratorium is given or been specified in this act, is the simple reason is that moratorium company is already undergoing insolvency. The basic purpose of the insolvency is to get a resolution or to change the management of the company. Management, once it's changed, it can be run in a better effective manner. So अब जब ये प्लान कर रहे हैं कि ये कंपनी को बेटर मैनेजमेंट को बेचना है या कुछ काम करना है जिससे कंपनी को बचाया जा सकता है, तो इन दैट केस इसको मॉरेटोरियम देना बहुत जरूरी है. अदरवाइज व्हाट विल हैपन कि insolvency professional or committee of creditors, they are constantly discussing on the facts कि हम इसको कंपनी को कैसे बचाते हैं ताकि जो एम्प्लॉइज इसमें थे, देयर आर thousands of employees in certain big companies, or so many assets, so many land, building, the goodwill of the company, so many things are at stake because of the insolvency. So what insolvency professional and committee of creditors, and the basic objective of IBC is to get a resolution of this company so that the company can be saved. So उस पीरियड के दौरान अगर उसके ऊपर अगर केसेस चलते रहेंगे, इनकम टैक्स कभी आ जाएगा, कभी जीएसटी आ जाएगा, कभी ईडी आ जाएगा, कभी सेबी आ जाएगा, वॉट एवर बी द केस, उनके ऊपर कंटिन्यूअस प्रोसेस पे अगर केसेस चलते रहेंगे तो क्या होगा, इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल और कमिटी ऑफ क्रेडिटर्स जो लोग प्लान कर रहे हैं कि इसको प्रॉपर मैनर में इसको रिजोल्यूशन लाना है या किसी अच्छे बेटर मैनेजमेंट को बेचना है, दैट विल गेट डिस्टर्ब. सो उस दौरान 6 महीने के लिए, एज डिस्कस्ड, 180 डेज इज द प्रोसेस फॉर इंसॉल्वेंसी. उस 180 डेज में तो कंप्लीट मॉरेटोरियम पे आ जाएगा. सेक्शन 14 स्टेट कि सारा का सारा मॉरेटोरियम पे डाल दो, कोई केस उस टाइम पे नहीं चलेगा उसके ऊपर, सो दैट इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल कमिटी ऑफ क्रेडिटर्स कैन डिसाइड विद अ पीसफुल स्ट्रक्चर एंड विद अ पीसफुल माइंड दैट व्हाट इज टू बी डन नेक्स्ट इन द कंपनी. So section 14 again deals with the moratorium, which is much more important section of this code, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Other section, the fifth section that we are coming up is to section 17. Section 17 states that the directors, the board of the directors of the company will be suspended. So section 17 already states that the board of directors of the company will be suspended. So no powers rest with the board of directors. They will be in the closed room. They will be called in the meeting, but they will not be allowed to discuss. They will not be allowed to check, sign on any of the checks. They will not be allowed to take any decisions for the company so far as the purchase, sales, operations, employees, finance, or anything that is concerned. So section 17 deals with the suspension of the board of the directors of the company. One thing important is section 17 states that there should be a suspension of the board of directors. Please keep in mind that board of the directors is suspended, not the directors of the company. So directors of the company के ऊपर ऐसा नहीं कि उनका DIN जो है वो DIN number, that is director identification number वगैरह जो है वो उनका deactivate हो जाएगा, उनका PAN number deactivate हो जाएगा. Nothing like that. Only the board of directors is the body who takes the decision on the behalf of the company. So that board decision making authority, the decision making power will not rest with the board of the directors. So section 17 deals with the suspension of the board. So these are the 5 sections we already discussed: 7, 9, 10, 14, which is moratorium, and 17, which deal with the suspension of the board of the directors, the powers of the board of directors. So all the powers rest with the insolvency professional and the committee of creditors for taking further decision till that company is being sold or handed over to the next management. Okay, so we are short with time. Quickly, I will discuss. So next step will be like for selling the stake of the company or selling it to the separate management. We will have to. We will again publish a newspaper advertisement. Again, I will be publishing a newspaper advertisement in form number G. Form G, I will be publishing a newspaper advertisement wherein I will state that if any of the company is willing to buy this management of this company or buy the assets of this company, as a company as a whole, along with the liabilities and asset, may apply to the insolvency professional. So wo log aayenge, they will come further, they will see what is happening in the company, what are the assets, liability, and they will bid for, or they will submit the resolution plan for taking over the company at a prescribed price, right? So वो जो होगा वो कंपनी के लिए आगे आएंगे. ये जो रिजोल्यूशन प्लान्स जो आएंगे वो जो है अपने कमिटी ऑफ क्रेडिटर्स जो है इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल पुटअप करेगा, और नेचुरली जो सबसे बेस्ट प्राइस देगा उसको ये कंपनी सोल्ड हो जाएगा. तो वो उसके बाद जो है ये रिजोल्यूशन आ जाएगा, न्यू मैनेजमेंट विल टेक ओवर द कंपनी एंड विल रन द कंपनी नेक्स्ट. सो वी आर एबल टू सेल दिस कंपनी एट लार्ज. Now we come to the last part of this insolvency process is what happens if no resolution plan is coming up. Say no one is interested to buy this company when we have published a form G, that is invitation of resolution plan. In that case, the company on the completion of 180 days, it will be deemed to be going into the liquidation. So once this company goes into the liquidation, the appointment of liquidator wherein RP जो resolution professional जो है insolvency professional may be again appointed as a liquidator, and in that case an entire liquidation process will start. तो पहले जो discuss किया वो resolution process था, resolution नहीं आ पाया, कोई company interested नहीं थी ये company को लेने में, तो liquidation process आएगा. Difference between resolution process and liquidation process is that resolution process is selling the entire company to some another management or the another company. Liquidation process is selling the assets of the company and then distributing what so individual assets बिकना इसमें चालू हो जाएगा, उसमें पूरा कंपनी बिक जाता. Naturally liquidation process नहीं होना चाहिए. This is the last resort which anyone can resort to, because उसमें कंपनीज की assets का devaluation हो जाता है. अगर कंपनी पूरा बिक जाता है तो कंपनी में काफी कुछ उसका वैल्यू अच्छा आता है, so it's a maximization of value. बट अगर लिक्विडेशन प्रोसेस रहता है तो लिक्विडेशन प्रोसेस में इंडिविजुअल एसेट्स बिकेंगे, लाइक नॉट अ कंपनी एज अ होल. सो इट विल बी लाइक जो भी लैंड है, बिल्डिंग है, मशीनरीज है, व्हीकल्स है, सब जो है उसको ऑप्शन करके अलग अलग तरीके से उसको बेचा जाएगा. उसके बाद जो प्रोसीड्स आएंगे, जो भी पैसा आता है, हाउ दैट विल बी डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड एज बीन डिस्कस्ड इन वाटरफॉल मैकेनिज्म अंडर सेक्शन 53 ऑफ दिस कोड, विच स्टेट्स दैट कि सबसे पहला जो है पैसा जो भी कॉस्ट लगी है ये प्रोसेस करने की, उसको पहले दिया जाएगा. फिर सिक्योर्ड क्रेडिटर्स जो बैंकर्स वगैरह है जिनके पास सिक्योरिटी है, उनको बाद में पैसा जाएगा. उसके बाद जो है वर्कमेन्स ड्यूज जाएंगे, दोज हु आर रैंक इन द फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी. उसके बाद पैसा बचता है तो वो जो है वो अनसिक्योर्ड क्रेडिटर्स को जाता है, या फिर उसके बाद अगर पैसा बचता है, सो यू हैव टू सी दैट इट्स अ वाटरफॉल मैकेनिज्म, ऊपर से पानी गिरते गिरते आ रहा है. अगर बचता है तो सिक्योर्ड को जाता है, फिर अनसिक्योर्ड को जाएगा, फिर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स को या गवर्नमेंट ड्यूज को जाता है. उसके बाद अगर कुछ ड्यूज बच जाते हैं तो वो जाएगा अपने ऑपरेशनल क्रेडिटर्स विच एज वी डिस्कस, लाइक अपना ये those who have provided goods and services. और उसके बाद जो बचता है तो preferential shareholders and then to equity shareholders means promoters को जाएगा. So which is never in the case. कभी भी कंपनी में इतना पैसा बचता ही नहीं है while once it goes to liquidation. So naturally पैसा बचेगा नहीं. तो इस waterfall mechanism में section 53 में this amount will be distributed and company will be dissolved, completely will be dissolved. तो liquidation में company dissolve हो जाता है. उस केस में रिजोल्यूशन में कंपनी डिसॉल्व नहीं होता है, इट विल बी टेकन ओवर बाय न्यू मैनेजमेंट और उसके आगे फिर कंपनी चलता रहता है. सो स्टूडेंट्स यू कैन सी दैट कि एक छोटा सा ड्यू पे नहीं किया है, छोटा सा डिफॉल्ट हो गया से 1 करोड़ रुपीस का और अबाउ 1 करोड़ रुपीस, उसमें आप देख रहे हो कि उसके कितने सारे रिपरकशंस आए हैं, उसके कितने सारे कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस है कि जब से ड्यू पे नहीं किया है वहां से लेके कंपनी की ये पोजीशन पे आ गई कि दे हैव लॉस्ट एवरीथिंग जस्ट फॉर वन क्रेडिटर नॉट बीइंग पेड. एंड वो कंपनी अगर वो क्रेडिटर को कंपनी को इस लेवल पे लेके आया कि आइदर इट इज बीइंग सोल्ड और इट इज गोइंग इनटू अ लिक्विडेशन एंड फाइनली आफ्टर सेलिंग ऑफ द एसेट्स एंड पेइंग ऑफ ऑल द ड्यूज द कंपनी इज going into a dissolution. So such is the impact of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. I thank you all the students. I hope so. I had to be fast in moving the slides and discussing the entire insolvency and bankruptcy process, because I wanted I am able to share the entire section, all the important sections of this code, so that it's much more beneficial to the students at large. In any of the queries, any of the support that you require from me, any point in time, I am available on the mail IDs, phone numbers. This is my address. You can connect me anytime and I'll be ready to help. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Sir, should I take 1 or 2 questions, if you allow?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, there is one question that how practically do filing application on one side under IBC and steps to follow? How practically do filing application is to be done?
Ma'am, see, insolvency professional himself can file an application if he is well versed with the process of the court का process है ये. तो naturally insolvency professional is allowed to file an application with NCLT himself. उसका एक कोर्ट का प्रोसेस होता है, उसकी कुछ फॉर्मेट्स है, तो वो लॉ का पार्ट है. अगर इफ इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल इज रेडी टू डू दिस और वो हिमसेल्फ अगर ये सारा कुछ कर सकता है तो ही में फाइल एन एप्लीकेशन डायरेक्टली. और इफ ही इज अनेबल टू डू और इफ द फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर इज अनेबल टू डू, he will do is he will appoint a lawyer who are practicing in NCLT. They will get the application, the entire application ready by this lawyer, and that lawyer will be fighting the case on the behalf of the financial creditor. So this is the process of the law. Where NCLT is, where courts are involved, because courts में हो सकता है कि insolvency professional being a chartered accountant or a financial creditor who is not known to all these processes may not be able to file the application by himself. So best way generally people do is to appoint a lawyer and then go to the NCLT and fight the matter.
Okay. And once the petition is admitted by NCLT and the bid is being invited, still promoters can be allowed to resolve the default amicably?
Yes, ma'am. That settlement part can be done at any point of time. Now the courts allow even during the liquidation process, even after the completion of 180 days, if the promoters are ready to settle those dues at any point in time. But it has a process to be followed. Say एप्लीकेशन वॉज डन बाय से एक कंपनी, मैंने एप्लीकेशन किया था, मेरा 5 करोड़ का ड्यूज था वो कंपनी के सामने, ऑल्दो कंपनी ने दिया नहीं पैसा और कंपनी गॉट एडमिटेड इनटू द इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोसेस। पर 3 महीने बाद मेरे को ऐसा लगा, जब ये इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोसेस पूरा चल रहा था, जब मेरे को पता लगा कि कंपनी कोई और लेके चला जाएगा एंड आई गॉट सम अरेंजमेंट्स ऑफ द फंड्स ऑन माय इंडिविजुअल लेवल, तो मैं क्या करूंगा कि मैं कमिटी ऑफ क्रेडिटर्स में अप्रोच करूंगा, उनको बोलूंगा कि सर जो कंपनी अप्रोच करेगी मेरे को और मेरे को बोलेगी कि सर आपका 5 करोड़ का ड्यू है, आप ले लो, तो वो मेरे को अगर 5 करोड़ का ड्यू मेरे को पूरा पे बैक कर देता है और कमिटी ऑफ क्रेडिटर्स में पुट अप करके इफ कमिटी ऑफ क्रेडिटर्स अग्रीज तो विड्रॉल एप्लीकेशन इज आल्सो बीइंग फाइल्ड, और उस केस में एनसीएलटी में विड्रॉल एप्लीकेशन डाल के द कंपनी इज अगेन आउट ऑफ द इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोसेस एंड प्रमोटर डायरेक्टर्स विल टेक ओवर द कंपनी अगेन. That can be done. So settlement is being done, but it hardly happens. अगर वो settlement होना होता तो शायद वो insolvency में जाने से पहले ही कर देते, पर अगर वो बाद में करना चाहे तो there are remote chances. पर होता है, बहुत सी बार ऐसा होता है कि जहाँ पे settlement करने पे insolvency process is again withdrawn and the company comes back to in the hands of the promoters and directors.
Right, sir. Thank you. And sir, now I would like to sum up today's session with thanking all our speakers. Firstly, our respected Vice Chairman, Sir Sridhar Sir, and our keynote speaker, Central Council Member, CA Ganchand Mishra Ji, our first session speaker, CA Dr. Anjali Choksi Ma'am, and of course you, CA Sumit Shah Ji, and all our participants who have been glued to this session. And I hope they have enjoyed and got all the knowledge from you speakers, as you were aptly chosen for this topic. And we were very much overwhelmed that we are getting the knowledge from both of you on this session, which is to be taken up, which was on Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. And there have been a lot of queries that whether these webinar material and the sessions will be available online. Yes, the sessions will be there online on the YouTube and on the DLH platform. The students can take the benefits of all the sessions which have been conducted by SSEB by logging into the YouTube and on the DLH platform. And I would again like to thank our speakers and everyone for making it a great success, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all the students for patient hearing. Any of the queries are invited anytime. You can just forward it to the institute or you can forward it directly to me. I'll be ready to help, and wishing you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sunitji. Thank you.
Thank you, Kapilji. Thank you so much for inviting me and giving me a chance to deliver to the students. Which is always a privilege. It's always a pleasure to deliver it to the students, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Ashok, close it now.